right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the beautiful Canadian finals. We're going to have the finals game. It's going to be Altiora versus Mirage, but back at the desk, I'm going to be your host, Veli, and right next to me, we're going to have our own Canadian Jesse and his twin Caliber Jake. Pretty much we're the same thing. But before we jump into the fun stuff, I'll let you guys know now, there's a game that's dropped recently, and I've been hooked, and I've been playing it on something amazing. I'm going to give a big shout out to Predator for their laptops. Jesse, I know your laptop is significantly better than mine, and Jacob, I know your laptop is cool too, right?
Well, you guys are getting laptops?
Okay. No, Jesse, tell me about your laptop, man.
My laptop's great. I'm glad that you got the less powerful one so that you can play video games. I can play spreadsheets. It's really, it's fantastic, right? And I think also with the holiday season coming up, this would make a fantastic gift if you've got a gamer in your family who might want a gaming laptop. This thing is fantastic. It runs everything that I give it, and I love it.
Jacob, what you got over there, man?
I'm angrily eating crackers because I don't have a freaking laptop yet.
Well, one day you'll get it. One day, Jacob. The one that I have.
Don't lie to me, Veli. I'm never gonna get one.
Soon. I have to try 700, by the way, Jesse. Now, the cool thing that I actually found out when I was playing Cyberpunk is the fact that I can actually overclock my GPU by the click of a button, and it is amazing. I've been able to play it on Ultras. It's fantastic, but I'm gonna give a shout out to them one more time. Thank you, Predator. Don't know what I'll do without your laptops, but let's jump into the games. This is it. Mirage. Now, when it comes to this team, Jesse, they have been looking so good, so consistent. They've been looking great. The Kings of Canada, basically. What do you have to say about this team, and what about loading? We hear a lot about Quartz. We hear a lot about Silent. What about loading? What does he have to do in order to step up for this roster?
I think Loading's an interesting player because he's been a little bit inconsistent. I thought his play at the qualifier was not really up to snuff. I think he's got to do a little bit better than that. In his game against Disrupt in that lower bracket matchup, he had 19 deaths in 24 rounds. It's not the type of performance we want to see from somebody who, at the start of the season, he's popped off as one of the most interesting and exciting players. He was top player or top 2 players on the team for the first couple of matches all throughout stage 1. He was playing interesting operators like Kali a lot. He was doing a lot of great things, but recently, it just hasn't quite been the same. I really want to see him pop off again like he used to back at stage 1.
All right, now Jacob, this team, national dominance, baby. Mirage, do you think they have what it takes to go all the way to be number 1 here?
Honestly, yes, but that's just because they've been number 1 for both stages 1 and 2. They haven't lost a series in the Canadian division since its inception around 6 months ago, which is a really cool thing in their case, but I would question kind of how they perform outside of that. There's been a little bit of a tapering off recently, and I think that was best exhibited in that game or in that qualifier, especially against Disrupt in the lower bracket for the November major, because they just didn't really seem like they were themselves. And if you look at their stats from stage 1 to stage 2, there's definitely a slip. In stage 1, Mirage had so many players. I think it was 4 out of their 5 players were within the top 10 overall in the Canadian division, just from a ratings perspective, and that's across the board, mostly through frags. However, stage 2, you want to know how many other players were up there above Mirage? Several. Most of them were Altiora. So there's been a little bit of a shift in which players are doing better than Mirage. You would think the Kings of Canada are already locked and loaded, but if trends are to be believed, maybe Altiora is not nearly as dead in the water as you might think.
Oh, and speaking of Altiora, let's introduce the team. Jesse, you know a lot about the boys from your region up there. Now, when it comes to their play style, attack and defense, which one is their strongest point and really jumps out at you?
Altiora's attacks have really stuck out to me as a really strong focal point for them. You've got Esco with his nades doing really good work on Sledge and other nading operators. Euphoria and some of the post plants have been fantastic. But the star of Altiora, and he's played only 1 game, has to be Penguin. This guy popped off in their single match that they played him in. He didn't play the first part of the season, the first couple of games of stage 2, because he wasn't old enough yet. But he turned 18, he played the last match against Livid, and it was one of the most incredible games that I think we've seen inside of the Canadian division. He had fantastic stats, went 34 and 14, 1.31 KPR, and I know what you're thinking, great, what is he, running on Ash, getting kills, it's nothing new. No. He's their hard breach. He had 7 plants. He had more plants than anybody else did in the Canadian division throughout the whole season in 1 game. He's doing everything for this squad, and it is a small sample size, but Penguin has been a fantastic player.
All right, now you hear the X factor, Jacob. Are there anything else you want to throw Penguin, or is there anything else about this roster that you think is going to be the defining factor of why they can dethrone Mirage?
I think Penguin's performance is really enough of an X factor kind of by itself, because he was able to win that match that he played in, but again, that was only the only game that he's ever played with this squad was in their final matchup of stage 2, and it was a win, so good job on them. I do, however, question whether Penguin's performance is going to be the be-all end-all for Altiora in this game. You can't really, it's unfair to put all of your hopes and dreams on the performance of just one player, but if you have someone who not only plays Hard Breach, but also becomes the best overall rated player in the Canadian division off of one series, which is already kind of unheard of, that speaks to how much Altiora might need to rely on him in this matchup. And Mirage have obviously been a team for a lot longer. They've had the same lineup for a really long time. Altiora can't say the same. Their roster's been different from stages 1 to 2. In fact, they've got 7 players currently on their team, and they've been switching players back and forth in and out, trying to figure out what the best one to use for each individual series might be. Maybe not on purpose, because I know they definitely wanted to use Penguin after he turned 18, but now that he's in the game, how well he does might determine how well Altiora as a whole does.
Listen, all eyes are on Penguin right now. He's going to be the X factor for me, but before these teams go out to war, we need to find out what maps they're going to be playing on, and coming up shortly, we're going to see that. And Jesse, big brain, tell us all about which maps you're really looking forward to seeing being played.
I'm looking forward for Oregon. That's the one I'm most excited for, because both these teams play Oregon really, really well, but we've got them rolling in. It is a best of 5. We're going to start off with Cafe. Mirage have loved this map in stage 1. Their only recent play was a loss. It was 3-7 against SSG. For Altiora, though, they've banned this map every single series of stage 2, meaning they haven't played it since they played against Mirage in stage 1. Then we get Clubhouse picked up by Altiora. They've only ever lost 1 round on Clubhouse, and this is largely due to other teams choosing to ban Clubhouse against Altiora. Of course, Mirage not getting that chance. For Mirage, it's been their auto ban almost every single game of the fall, so that's going to be pretty tough for them. Then we head into Theme Park. Both of these teams, 0 wins on Theme Park. Mirage 2 losses, making it their worst map in the pool, and then 1 loss for Altiora, a 4-7 game against Livid. So not a great map for either squad in that one. Then we head to Villa for map number 4. Altiora improved a lot on this map heading into stage number 2. They dismantled Mirage 7-1 in their most recent engagement. So this is probably the strongest point that they're going to have over Mirage, just looking at recent results. And then the save the best for last. Oregon is a map that both these teams are incredibly strong with. It's been the best map of stage 2 for Mirage, but it's largely due to the fact they didn't play it in the qualifier. And for Altiora, they've won this map 4 times this year, their only loss being to Mirage in stage 2.
Jacob, Jesse's pretty good at this map select stuff, right? What is
I was gonna say he's good at it, and I'm happy that we both just kind of shut up and let him do his own thing, right?
He's good. He's good when it comes to the map ban phase, but you know what he's not good at, Jacob? Predictions. Now, can you let the entire audience know what happened last time we were on broadcast, and why Jesse isn't as big brain as we thought he was?
Not as big brain as we thought. So let me cast your minds back to the November major. We had a little bit of a friendly bet going on, Jesse and I, about who was going to get the most predictions correct for that North American major. That LAN that was so well put together. TSM ended up winning. I called TSM. He didn't. He called the loser, ultimately lost our bet overall, and part of the punishment was that he had to get a t-shirt with a couple of select things on it. So Jesse, you've got it on you now, right? Please tell me you do.
Take it off, Jesse.
I haven't seen this.
Production, put it up.
I actually haven't seen this, by the way.
Was really impressive by Jacob. So a bet is a bet. I still maintain the fact that broadly, my predictions are pretty good, but that major was not my time. Jacob has the biggest brain, and I sadly do not. Talented Jacob with the fantastic shirt. There you go. I hope you're happy.
That is beautiful. Why is the shirt green? Why is it green?
It's actually the only color of fabric the store has left. I wanted like maybe a nice beige. Green with Comic Sans was what we ended up with.
Okay, so for context, I genuinely did not know what this shirt looked like until just now. He kept it like a secret and said, "You're not ready for this," but this is like the best way I could have won a bet. Oh, sweet victory, man.
I can't believe he unbuttoned it just so sexy and slow. I thought he was gonna Ken it, to be honest. And then he as he slowly
what's
did
funnier
it,
about it?
I saw your
It's
face.
funnier because he didn't even like cut my face out.
No.
He just put the full picture on there.
I thought he was just gonna hardcore but slowly but surely. But the players are ready, the casters are ready. I'm gonna ask you one more time to do me a favor. If you don't follow any of the social pages for Rainbow Six Siege, I don't know what's wrong with you. So make sure you all follow. Excuse me. Yes, make sure you follow the pages, especially the Twitter page. Our social media guys are amazing. The memes are fantastic. They're great, right? But when it comes to predictions for this best of 5 finals between Altiora and Mirage, I'm gonna start with the big brain. Jacob, what do you think, man?
Oh, the title's been passed to me. Oh, this feels so good. So there's a part of me that kind of just wants to run with the team that everyone really expects to win in this case, which happens to be Mirage. Though I am a little bit concerned about what this little slump, this little bump means for them in the long run. We're playing a best of 5. We have to factor potential fatigue into this whole thing as we progress. Thing is, Altiora being still a bit of a relatively new squad with the way that they put players in and out of their lineup, and the fact that Mirage are most assuredly no stranger to high-pressure matchups. They've played against US division teams in major quals before. If this has to go really, really long, I'm confident that Mirage still have a way to win in the long game. So I'm picking my boy Flynn and all 4 of his teammates, whatever their names are, and I think Mirage can still do this, man.
All right, Jesse, small brain. What's your prediction, loser?
All right, listen, I gotta claim this title back, so we're gonna bring out some facts here. Penguin has been, again, one of the strongest players that we've seen inside of all of Canada. Their attacks have been fantastic with a 65% win rate. That's way above what we see even from US teams. I gotta go for Altiora. They've seemingly studied Mirage. They're ready to counter against all the aggression that Mirage might try to bring on their defenses. I'm going to pick Altiora. I'm going to assume that Flynn will throw yet another match, and we'll see who ends up being right this time.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, the time is now, and this is going to be it. Finally, the Canadian Division Finals. We're going to toss this over to the duo, Kix and Parker. Take it away.
Oh, thank you so much, Veli. It's really wonderful to be here and to be able to voice the grand finals for the Canadian division. And honestly, Michael, it's nice to be casting next to each other yet again.
Yeah, it's been a while. I feel like I haven't casted a match in ages. We haven't casted a match in ages, so it's nice to be able to do the Canadian finals.
It absolutely is. And to crown one of the teams the Kings of the North, or however we want to officially brand it, I had to whip out this Queen's University cardigan jacket that was actually my grandfather's when he competed on, and remember I said he's my grandfather, the Intramural Bowling Club.
That is somehow so appropriate.
Very appropriate.
You know what? I don't know why or how, but that just makes sense. It just does.
Pride of Kingston, Ontario. And you know what? I'm very hopeful that he didn't wear this while he bowled, because I couldn't imagine that this is performance athletic wear, because it is very, very hot.
I think for your sake and for his sake, that probably was the best play, and it looks nice on you, Parker. It's the appropriate color too for I guess this day to celebrate Canada.
Well, it's actually a mix. It's a mix of colors, as you can see
here.
Yeah, but anyway, Michael, let's not waste any time. We're going to get into Cafe Dostoevsky. It's our very first map between Mirage and Altiora. One of these teams will be coming out on top as the Kings of Canada. Who will it be? We often talk up Mirage and how dominant they've been throughout the Canada division. They have represented Canada at the North American qualifiers both times that they've had a chance to do so. Unsuccessful actually getting into the major, but they've still been there. Altiora has changed up their roster more times than I've changed turtlenecks over the course of the last couple months, Michael. And we'll see if they like what they have and if it actually works out. Keep an eye on Penguin, as his name was brought up a ton by the analysts leading into this matchup.
Has anybody told Elizabeth that we're crowning a new king?
The queen.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. But, you know, I guess based on the result here, I didn't know that, but I said fun little fact, you know, tidbit, that Elizabeth is also Queen of Canada still, technically, I guess.
She is. She is technically our head of state, and her representative here, Michael, is the Governor General. So
look at that. That's, you know, that's fun stuff.
There you have it. In the spirit of Canada, as there will be maple syrup dripping all over this broadcast. No Canadian operators banned yet. Buck still very much in play. He can come out whenever. Maverick and Thatcher will be the two bans, with Wamai and Valkyrie joining. Now, it is worth noting that we are playing under the Neon Dawn patch, which means that changes to a handful of operators have gone through. Wamai's magnets reduced by 1. He's lost his deployable shield. Smoke lost his deployable shield. Jaeger's ADSs no longer as impactful, as they now have a reset on them after you throw one of your gadgets through it. So all of these things are going to go into stopping the defensive power that we'd seen time and time again. Will it be enough to give the attackers a bit of an advantage? We will find out. And for Altiora, they're going to be our guinea pigs here. In this matchup, as you saw in the previous matchup, Nordic actually defeated Oblivion to keep their spot in the Canada division. Obviously, both of these teams are going to remain in here. We'll see which one comes out on top.
So, Cafe, I think, as a map, is probably one of the most affected by this patch. And I think this is, in particular, highlighted on the top floor. You typically have a player, usually it'll be your Wamai, who's going to whip out a shield, put it in Pixel. Then he'll use his magnets to go ahead and keep himself alive in Pixel, so you can keep control over Piano. You're not likely to see as much of that anymore, which means bathroom control on the top floor is going to be harder. And Parker, you were already talking about how you felt that the top floor was losing favor from a lot of teams in Comp Siege leading up to Neon Dawn going live. And I think that's going to be compounded now with the change to the not only the shield on Wamai, but also the removal of a magnet, and obviously the major change to Jaeger. So Cafe is very different now, and past statistics on it no longer are all that relevant. We're going to see some new stuff being paved out here by these teams, and as an example of that, bottom floor, the first site defended.
It's been an interesting thing to watch on a wide variety of maps, how the top floors have fallen out of favor. We see something similar on Villa, which is actually map number 4 in this series. So if we need it, it will be there. And you'll notice that a lot of teams don't defend that trophy statuary bomb site upstairs as much. They instead go down below, because the top floors have become that buffer zone that so many teams seem to enjoy. Ditto on Consulate. Even though Consulate is not going to be on the menu today, it alongside Coastline are the two maps that we will be skipping. It's been fascinating to watch that unfold. There's also been a small change to the HUD. As you can see, it says 5v5 above, just so you have a persistent identifier of how many people are in game, just in case you are incapable of looking left or right.
It's clean. It's clean. I like it. I mean, personally, I would have liked it if it were, attached to the top section, but I'm not
Impossible.
I'm not
we don't have that kind of money.
I'm not a graphic designer, so I'm sure somebody who actually went to college for that sort of thing knows
Budget
better
cuts,
than me.
Michael, it affects us in so many ways. Anyway.
So we've got,
as much as we've been talking in this, it seems like it's a preamble, but now we are in the amble, as you can call it. There is a minute left in this round, and we have so far had 0 action. Mirage are being painfully slow at taking any map control away from Altiora, and obviously this benefits the defenders, especially with the lineup that we see present right now from Altiora. They have lots of stall potential. They've got some bulletproof gadgets that are going to be upright, most notably the Banshees. So keep your eyes on it. First kill is going to go to Eska. Quartz immediately refrags, so down the Malusi goes, but Altiora will bunker down inside of the bomb site. They have 30 seconds of this cut and thrust to try and hold off. And while they catch the sledge of Quartz above, but a little bit of missed opportunity from Euphoria, one of the newest members of Altiora. He can't really do too much to the sledge. But all this dilly-dallying for Mirage might end up being their undoing, as you've still got a server full of people. And almost nothing has happened. Sonar has not broken a sweat. He'll engage and take the head off of Silent. A very clean play from inside of VIP. And he'll continue to move up. Down goes Euphoria as Quartz finds his second kill. He'll need to get a bunch more. Flynn loading, fall by the wayside. And now Quartz above with 2 seconds left in the diffuser a mile away. Means there's no chance for him whatsoever. Altiora able to hold out because of the negligence from Mirage and their lackluster entry, Michael.
Lackluster is the appropriate word, Parker.
Oh, well, thank you.
And yeah, that was a slow round in general there by Mirage. You were talking about how the top floor is the buffer for most defensive teams, whether it be on Cafe or Villa or or any kind of map similar. And that round was a great example. Altiora did a decent job of slowing down Mirage's execution, and Mirage just didn't have the cut and thrust to get through the top 2 floors fast enough to then execute onto the site efficiently. Also very important is once they did have the middle floor control, Mirage didn't do too much with it. Quartz did manage to get a kill through the holes that he made as Sledge, so that's great. But it didn't aid...
in fact.
2, yeah, exactly. But it didn't aid the execution itself. There was not sufficient cover, and the retake was pretty easy for Altiora. I'm especially surprised by this because Altiora were playing in a way that was not particularly safe from that middle floor control, from that vertical pressure. Generally on that site, if you're worried about vertical, you're probably going to play off-site and retake when it's necessary. And Altiora did have that contingency in place. Of course, they still had somebody in coat check. I believe that was Sonar. But they didn't need that eventuality. They didn't need that contingency. It's just a too slow, too lackluster, as you said, execution from Mirage.
I don't think Mirage knew exactly what they wanted to do, in large part because of the lineup that was brought from Altiora. Now that we see this utility soak meta be severely hobbled by the nerfs. Obviously, Jaeger not as effective. Wamai nowhere near as effective, losing a magnet, but also losing his deployable shield. Smoke losing, or rather Smoke should have lost his shield, but he still has access to it. Am I crazy?
I don't remember that in the patch notes, but I can check them.
Wamai lost his deployable shield. Did Valkyrie? Was it Valkyrie? Is my brain failing me?
It could be Valkyrie. That sounds more right.
I think it actually was Valkyrie. What a beautiful shot from Spirits, by the way. It was Valkyrie, and it looks like he's lined up for yet another. He'll tussle with the Ash and get it. Both of the members of Mirage that decide to greet Spirits inside of Reading will have a little bit more to do. Their nose stuck very firmly in the book, and they couldn't see in front of their very own eyes. With that, Altiora opens things up, and yeah, I mean, I was going through the patch notes, and I was trying to remember it. It's Valkyrie and Wamai then, because I know two of them lost their deployable shields. So Smoke gets to keep it, so obviously he's going to be just as strong.
Yeah.
But those changes, the point that I was making about utility soak, Valkyrie and Wamai are both banned, so you don't get access to them anyway. But what this has done is it's also allowed Mutant Mozzie to become more prominent in the meta. And we saw that in the very first round. Part of Mirage's issue was seemingly getting information on whether they wanted to take from the freezer or whether they wanted to take from the bakery, and they were flummoxed a little bit by the lineup that was brought from Altiora. So now they've managed to open up the wall inside of Cigar after sustaining some very significant casualties, losing both Silent and Loading, which is terrible because that's their set of explosives right now. With the exception of the frag grenades in Quartz's hands, they don't really have that much for soft destruction. Last grenade will go out but get eaten by an ADS, and that deployable shield will persist, but it was a bit of a missed opportunity from Penguin. He didn't need to peek that one. He goes down to Quartz as this Sledge main just continues his reign of terror. Tons of time left for Altiora to ride this one out, but now it's even numbers as we'll find the final 40 seconds here in the round.
The kill there for Spirits. Quartz was trying to get more than he really should have. Good control on Pixel, but nothing coming of it from there. A 4K for Spirits, and there's the ace. He'll pick up his final kill. Altiora win round number 2 with a bang. Great play there from Spirits from the bathroom.
What a bad way to set a tempo for your team. Not only do you win round number 1 quite decisively, but round number 2, you pick up the ace. And with that, Altiora finds themselves up 2-0 on a map where, well, the defenders being up 2-0 is nothing outside of the norm. Though it is a little strange that it happened on the cocktail bomb site upstairs, as we talked about this before we got into round number 1, that, well, cocktail and bar up top is not the safe haven for the defenders that it used to be.
Right.
There's a lot of flexibility that you can bring. And if you look at the lineups that were present from Altiora on both Kitchen and Cocktail, and now the lineup that's present on the screen, or was until I started saying that and we transitioned into this round, you can look and you can see that Altiora have been bringing a pretty great diverse lineup of operators. Mira obviously is going to be a staple. You've got Denial in round number 1. You had some Denial present in round number 2 with the Kaid. Jaeger is always going to show up. Smoke is probably always going to show up, but the rest you can decide to flex off onto whoever you want. Altiora is showing that with these 2 bans, Valkyrie and Wamai, Echo being changed as well. There is lots of opportunity for the defense here to tailor their setups to what works best for them. And the fact that we are seeing this prevalence of Mira yet again just goes to show you how stale the old meta got and how much freer it is for now. Now, obviously, we are still very new to these changes, so the meta will eventually settle. But it's always nice to see this Wild West or Wild West-esque style when a meta swing happens, because teams just experiment. We've heard rumors from scrims that Twitch is going to be played an awful lot. We'll see if that ends up happening. Right now for Mirage, this is a very similar lineup to what they like bringing. Throw Zilchi on Jackal, and this is basically the staples for them. So they haven't really changed things up. The major praise needs to go to Altiora for their flexibility so far through these 3 rounds, but only 2 that we've seen a conclusion of.
Yeah, I think there are a number of teams and the impression that are staying true to the old meta, and not in, I don't know if that would, I don't know if I'd say that's in a good way. I'd say to a fault, they are staying true to the old meta. And right now, you were talking about Mirage's lineup. This does look a lot like their standard stuff. Changes will need to be made in time. Adaptations will need to be brought out. But, you know, with time. Altiora are showing us some pretty cool stuff. The Mira is not anything new, but it is slightly different than the old meta. Here comes the nade, but it's stopped by Spirits. A well-timed peek, and he's going to continue to pre-fire over by Ticket. Altiora continue their reign of dominance in this round, and well, with the damage done to Zilchi and the casualty of Quartz, the options are starting to dwindle here for Mirage. Loading will clear his own ADS, and he's trying to get the shield as well. He will, finally, but Spirits does some leaving damage. And another kill onto Zilchi. There's his 3rd! Spirits just can't lose! Loading and Silent now, the last 2 attackers. And at least Loading is going to get Euphoria, but that's definitely a, I'd say, a consolation prize at this point.
7 minutes into this matchup, and Spirits is sitting at 10 kills, 0 deaths. The remaining members of his team have 2 kills. The only person that has broken more than a single kill outside of Spirits is Quartz, and that was the very first casualty for Mirage. So just to show you how utterly dominant Spirits has been, he'll get stunned playing on top of the bookshelf on reading. Watch the door disappear as a nitro cell goes out. No damage done to Mirage as they'll look to try to run on in. Down goes the Zofia as Spirits picks up his quad. No way he gets back-to-back aces. There's no way, right? There's absolutely no way. Playing around the bookshelf, but they're going to give it to him, and he's going to toy with his food. Down goes Penguin. At least 1 kill for Silent. He finds his first. Bullet holes played out as Spirits is prone. He pops up, tries to light up the Ash. He'll have to do it with the sidearm, and he gets it. Another ace back-to-back for Spirits. Are you kidding me? An absolutely incredible play by him now, 2 rounds in a row, enough to destroy the confidence of Mirage, and Altiora find themselves up 3-0.
I gotta say, Parker and I don't use the "are you kidding me" very often, but very appropriate here. Spirits, really a stellar performance. 2 rounds, 10 kills. You just don't see that. And I think right now, if this trend is to continue, Mirage is going to have some serious struggles. That's for sure. Another interesting thing, though, because we're talking a lot about Spirits, and I think he deserves the accolades, but let's focus on that actual round. The setup, the way both teams played. Mirage played bog standard old meta Siege. The way they were executing. I mean, and that's fair enough. It's still new. This is a fresh meta. Altiora, also very standard. The one deviation, I guess you could say, is the Mira, but that is something we've seen before. And I think the Mira is working great for Altiora. They've got something there. It's smart. when you were talking about it earlier, Parker, I found it kind of funny that, you know, in 2020 we'd be talking about how not static mirror windows are compared to like deployable shields, for example. You know, when she first came out, she was the definition of your structured static defense, and I guess that's a little bit different now. So I like what we're seeing from Altiora with the Mira. Not a lot of changes apart from that so far. Nothing too crazy anyway. Nothing to highlight. But still, Mirage are just struggling with their execution because Spirits is shutting them down. So in terms of strategy, we haven't gotten to see too much. I'm sure we'll see more as this match goes on, assuming Spirits just calms down a little bit.
He will regress at some point. I don't think you need to be a professional broadcaster to tell the people watching this show that it is unsustainable to ace every single round.
Right.
So with that said, at some point, Spirits will cool off. He's going to continue to play on these aggressive fragging rolls. Expect him to continue to do well on the scoreboard, but the rest of Altiora will obviously come on in at some point.
Oh, he got it. That's the second exothermic charge for Flynn gone. The Electro Claw placed on the wall late after the explosive detonated above, possibly destroying the first Electro Claw. Either way, no breach available for the bakery wall. And as Eska gets his first kill in this round and the first kill of the round, it'll set the tone along with that denial of hard breach. Altiora in firm control.
This is Mirage's map as well. 90 seconds have gone by in round number 4, and Altiora, having been perfect on their defenses, now go back to the bomb site where they started, which is kitchen down below. And even though Mirage has lost that one exothermic charge, it's still a faster pace because the one wall inside a bakery has been opened up. How about that for Spirits, and how about that for Eska? Absolutely incredible play. Another from Eska on to Flynn. Zilchi's gone, and, well, it can't be an ace, but it could be a flawless round. All the hopes land and lie in Quartz's hands. Spirits has his very first death of the round. Quartz will now drop and have the unenviable task, with the 50 seconds left, to either grab the diffuser or find the remaining targets from Altiora. But with the way like Cafe likes to play out, you got to expect that they're not going to give him a single inch. Just play those angles. That's it. And Quartz will confront his very first crossfire and find that 2 members of Altiora are watching it. Doesn't matter that there's a second because it only takes sonar. That's it. Nobody else. And Altiora finds their 4th round in a row. Mirage yet to get onto the board.
Yeah, when I looked at the scoreboard and I saw that was Spirits' first death, it strikes a little bit of intimidation, and it wasn't even a gunfight. That's the funny thing. He was mid-sprint, didn't count on Quartz being in reading, which, you know, that does rest on Spirit's shoulders. But still, it says something about what's going on right now. Altiora are not losing gunfights. It's that simple. The strategy there for Mirage was a minimal strategy. Essentially just, we're going to open up from above, but not take above. We could do this from the balcony. That'll deny the Electroclaw on the wall, and then we can open the wall. That was what Mirage attempted and failed to do. When the second exothermic charge was destroyed, there really weren't a lot of options for Mirage to execute after that. They kind of just waited out the rest of the round and lost a couple of gunfights to Altiora, resulting in yet another failure. Currently, the 4-0 scoreline does not bode well for Mirage. They're going to change something in this round. They will switch their Thermite to a Habana. It's been talked about before, but Habana has seen a slight change. You can now divvy up her Excaro's pellets into sets of 6, 4, or 2, which makes her a little bit more versatile and much harder to counter. One thing I think is worth noting here, we've seen a distinct lack of Ace being played, where he was pretty standard. He is now, at least in this match, been kind of ignored. The Thermite's faster, so we've been seeing him played a lot, and the Habana as well is, you know, like I said, she's seen some changes.
Historically, Ace hasn't been in the wheelhouse of Mirage in terms of their operator lineup. So, I mean, it is a little unusual not to see Ace in top-level competitive play, but for Mirage, Flynn really likes Thermite, and if need be, he'll happily play Habana. And I'm glad that you touched on those Habana changes because they are Absolutely huge. Now she can fire off 2 sets of 2 X-Kairos, still amounting to the usual 6 that get fired off, but it can make it significantly challenging to properly impact trick or to bandit trick or to throw an Electroclaw down onto a wall. Regardless, there will be some action right in front of our eyes. A minute has gone by and Eska and Spirit stand shoulder to shoulder. Eska will be the one credited with that very first kill. 5 rounds, 5 opening duels breaking in favor of Altiora. Mirage's guns are shockingly silent. But he's not. The man himself takes down Spirits. He sees another above, lights up the boards as best as he can, but gets away with only 10 HP after doing a little bit of damage, but ultimately not that much. That's allowed Eska to descend the white stairs, who can very easily flank up and catch Silent inside of reading and give an advantage to Altiora. All the while, Mirage is wasting time as they are engaged in these duels and not able to go about doing the rest of the work on the bomb site.
Small little side note. Just for the record, it is, Ace is not very preferred by Mirage, but he is the preferred hard breacher of Altiora. So presumably when we get to the second half, we'll see a little bit more of him played, but find out when we get there. Reading control firmly in hand for Mirage now, and they're definitely doing some great work on Cocktail. You can tell this is an east balcony take. Altiora not exposing themselves too terribly. The nade, though, will do a significant... well, actually, no. Won't do a significant amount of damage. It barely does any. The second one, though, will force out Euphoria, and Quartz will shut him down. Eska did get a kill before that, but Flynn adds to the Mirage tally, eliminating Penguin. Eska and Sonar now need to clutch in the 2v3 with Sight Control lost. Player by Heaven there. Sonar misses his shots, and Quartz doesn't. Dilsey will confirm the kill. It's Eska now, retaking from White Stairs, and he is known. Only 20 seconds left, but Quartz is planting, and that's going to put the advantage firmly in Mirage's hands. Mirror window is hard to fight at this angle, and a missed shot there from Eska means it's still going to be nearly insurmountable odds. At least some information coming out from Cams here. He misses. No, doesn't miss. A beautiful shot from Eska. He gets his 3rd kill, and the 4th. He needs the 5th, and it's not going to happen. Flynn shuts him down. Very close there, but Eska just can't find Flynn's head.
Casters can play and casters can clutch. Flynn gives Mirage their very first round. And you know what, Michael? If Eska had won that round, it would have been an ace. So we would have seen 3 aces in 5 rounds for Altiora, but I'm guessing that Spirits just used up all of the good luck for his team. Still, that was painfully close for Mirage, and they very nearly blew the landing on that one. Eska should not have been able to make it up the top of White Stairs. He made a ton of noise as a 3-armor Kaid is not particularly quiet nor nimble. Not only making noise at the top of White Stairs, he gets flashed out. There were pre-fires. He makes it past Lumber into the bathroom. There's no way Mirage should have allowed him to be able to take up that much ground and then rotate on through while engaging in 2 separate 1v1s that both break in his favor, including one where he's got control of the mirror window. That should have never been given up by Mirage. So even though they won the round, there's going to be an awful lot there that Mirage are going to shake their heads at in regards to the way they played out that round. And if it weren't for the fire rate on the Type 89 and Flynn positioned up behind the bomb chassis, that could have very easily broken in Eska's favor. He gets the ace clutch. He gets the diffuser. No problem, as there was time still left on the clock. And it's 5-0 for Altiora. Glazing over the fact that it's 4-1 Altiora, which means that they have decisively won this first half, which is where you want to be on defense on Cafe. Take all of these defender-sided stats with a grain of salt, by the way, because we are in a new meta and we are emerging into a meta that we don't necessarily know all the ins and outs of. So it's quite possible that some of these maps and some of these bomb sites trend towards the attackers. But right now, we're going to go off of the norm for Cafe, which is, well, Altiora got 4 rounds on defense. That's where they should be. Not necessarily end times or end of days for Mirage, despite it being Mirage's map, but it is something to keep an eye on. For the very final defense, Altiora will go back upstairs to the bomb site that they just narrowly lost, which is Cocktail. And then after that, Mirage will have their opportunity to defend.
Altiora bleeding the 1 round for them. I don't think it's really going to be that troubling. That's a good pick there for Penguin. Down goes Silent. He's been a good force for Mirage. Not the leading force. That's Quartz. he has had some influence on these rounds, and I believe he was the one to get the shield that Penguin was playing behind. You can see here, Altiora very specifically are getting more aggressive on that pixel shield because they know it's expendable. They know it's going to be destroyed if they don't. So Altiora are counting on teams, expecting to be able to clear the pixel shield, and when the clear comes out, Altiora peeks and goes for the kill. That's what allowed them to get that early frag, but Quartz doing Quartz things. He really has been the savior for Mirage so far. Loading will add to it. Sonar, though, gets him back one. So we're even man count, 3-3 here. And there's still half the round, a little bit under, for Mirage to execute onto this site. But they do have those mirror windows to deal with.
You got to be at least in somewhat more of a comfortable position if you're Mirage than you were before, though this is a better round for Altiora than what we witnessed in round number 5, setting up quite nicely for this final minute of action. And Eska is able to fly under the radar, and he snatches up Quartz. A very easy and very clean kill, frankly, that now puts Mirage at a disadvantage in terms of numbers. Savior of the previous round was Flynn. He's aligned with Zilchi. Their 4 kills between the two of them will have to be better than what we see from Altiora. And the first question is going to be, where do they want to pressure from? Flynn is going to hunker down over by Cigar, and then Zilchi is over by Newbalk. Crouch walk his way up. But it doesn't appear that they have any intel whatsoever. And if they do, despite the fact that it appears that Zilchi has one drone still in play, there's nothing being called off of it right now. Zilchi and Euphoria will tussle, and Euphoria comes out much worse from that one, but everybody's still upright, and the clock is just slipping away, as now it's Flynn's turn to take some damage. He'll walk on in and he'll be immobilized, taken down by Eska, who gets his second kill, and then Spam Marks will go in with Eska cleaning up after Zilchi buries Euphoria. That's the first half here on Cafe in the books. Altiora a commanding 5-1 lead. They'll move to attack, and this is the way that they want to start things off, to humble Mirage and show that this wasn't going to be a coronation for the favorites in the Canada division.
$5-1 is an intimidating scoreline here, but keep in mind, we haven't seen this meta start to be played out in a good long time. And by that, I mean we've been on break. Even after Neon Dawn went up, we still haven't really seen that much in terms of competitive siege. And the way that everyone's starting to go has not yet been determined. So it's possible we're in a situation where attack is just going to struggle. And look at the bans as well. I mean, that's a Maverick Thatcher ban on Cafe of all maps. That's definitely going to be a hindrance. Mirage might be able to leverage that into a win. It's going to be hard to tell early on in this second half. Right now, we've got good setup in terms of utility for Mirage, and it looks like they'll have an adequate roaming presence with the Mozzie being brought out. That's essential. The roam is going to need to be there to delay the vertical clear that Altiora is forced into because of the Thatcher Maverick ban. There is a mute being brought, but no Kayid, interestingly. Mirage are not going to bring the Electro Claws to deny the wall. They think the mute jammer is enough. Find out if that's true or not.
This is almost a mirror matchup from what we saw on the first kitchen defense from Altiora back in round number 1. Altiora's attacking lineup will look extremely similar to what we saw from Mirage. The only stylistic difference is Hibana being brought in instead of the Thermite on this site before, but we also saw Mirage bring the Hibana quite a bit. There's no Vigil to roam for Mirage, but that's okay because they've got enough appropriate tools to play off-site. Zilchi in particular on the Melusi will be great at wasting time, and then you've got the Mute Mozzie combo that was present in round number 1. So these teams basically playing the same. It worked much more effectively for Altiora than I think you would have guessed. Let's see if Mirage can do the same, as Altiora's clear is going to be from the top. And that's in part because of the fact that Mirage is defending so aggressively above. Silent sprays away towards Pixel as he knows that the entrance from Altiora is over by Piano. He's backed up by Quartz. If an early pick here breaks in favor of Altiora, that could be the ball game. They are so far perfect on their opening duels.
See if they can make it work on attack as well. It's a little bit harder to get that entry on attack, but they will. There you go. Altiora maintaining their dominance. Zilchi, the first casualty this time around, and there's the second. confirmed with the pistol from Spirits. Quartz goes down. No refrag from the other player from Mirage on that white staircase. That's Silent. He will return to the site and try and use this last minute to just wait out the remainder of the round. Incurring a little bit of damage as he returns, but he's still got his gun up and his life in his hands. So, not the end of the world. That's the Mute Jammer dealt away with from Eska. The electric cars are a little bit more difficult to deal with from this angle, but you can do it. And that's why you would bring the Cade or the Kaid just to slow the attack down. C4 not going to land, but Eska's shots will. Altiora continuing their dominance. Still no one lost. And Mirage with only 2 bodies up. They know they only have 37 seconds to wait it out, but that's looking like an eternity as this ceiling starts to get opened up.
Silent's going to do what he can down below. He's 3/4 of the way towards a full man at the moment. Flynn taking damage. He's punished for it. It's a grenade that finishes him off as Penguin goes for the plant. Why not some objective play from Altiora? Add insult to injury. They'll lose sonar, but it doesn't matter. It's a Pyrrhic victory on that kill for Silent as Altiora takes round number 7. That's round number 6 for them, and they're going to sit on match point already.
You know, it's funny, Parker. Going into this series, I saw Altiora, Mirage, and I thought back to the last time we saw these teams play against each other, and how slow that match was, how long it took. And my first thought was, oh, this is going to be a long day. And I'm starting to be dissuaded of that apparent illusion because it's a 6-1 scoreline, and these rounds have been pretty succinct, to be honest.
I agree with you. These have been very, very dominant rounds for Altiora. I mean, if you look at the numbers right now, Altiora are not just cleaning up in terms of kills. You can do the quick arithmetic on the left and the right side of your screens. Euphoria doesn't have a single kill. Doesn't matter because the rest of his team are absolutely dominating. Eska and Spirits are combining for 27 kills at the moment. 27 damn kills through 7 rounds. That is obscene. I don't really think it's easy for us to talk about how nuts those numbers are to newer viewers, but 27 kills between 2 players in 7 rounds of gameplay is unheard of. 2 aces from Spirits in a row, 7 rounds where all of the opening duels have broken in favor of Altiora. The only thing going right for Mirage is they won a single round where they got the diffuser down and they almost choked a lead in the process. This has been one of the worst maps that we have seen from Mirage ever.
Yeah.
Ever. This goes back to when they got absolutely stomped on Villa, if you recall, by Altiora. Those were at least somewhat more competitive, despite the scoreline being 7-1 for Altiora on Villa. Right now, we are staring down the barrel of the same exact result. And there is almost nothing that Mirage is going to be leaving Cafe with that they'll be happy with.
You're absolutely right. I mean, we're not done yet, so it's too early to call it. But I want to go ahead and put a frame, like just a little frame of reference in everyone's head. The last time Mirage played Cafe, it was against Space Station Gaming, and of course, they lost. They lost it, though, 7-3. So if we don't get to that magic number of 3 rounds for Mirage, then they are about to lose to Altiora on Cafe harder than they lost to Space Station Gaming. We'll find out when we get there, of course. Still early days. There's a chance. That's a lot of Excaros pellets used on the red wall, by the way. There's a mirror window in play. Or 2, obviously. So those Excaros are very useful in clearing out those windows, and using up so many of those on the wall means you're going to be limited when it comes to these windows.
Michael, I think this is a perfect time for us to talk about the new skins from Rainbow Six Share that are showing off the 4 operators. We saw Nomad had one, Blackbeard has one as well. So you can go and get those in the shop whenever you'd like. Blackbeard, of course, is the North American skin. And then there's also the Road to SI Battle Pass that you can see. Spirits has both the casing skin, the optic skin, attachment skin, as well as the gun skin. And it's not going to help him at all because Silent is better. So clearly, if you're going to get it, it's not going to necessarily make you any better at taking your engagements, but you're going to look better in the process. This is Mirage having something that has eluded them for most of the match so far, which is a lead in numbers. Taking out Euphoria and in particular Spirits is going to put Mirage in good shape. 45 seconds remaining, and the defenders will, at least to a certain extent, be favored for this. A swing in from Eska as he claims one, doesn't see the gun barrel and immediately pivots. This is going to be a tough shot for him to make, but he's able to do it quite well. It's him versus the world as 30 seconds remain with the diffuser only a couple feet away. He's going to have to find Flynn and Quartz. He wasn't able to clutch last time. A lightning strike twice for Mirage. Will Eska be able to hold it together? 15 kills, and he's going to go for the plant. Try to bait out the remaining members of Mirage with 10 seconds to go. There goes a C4, but it doesn't do enough damage. Eska will persevere. They don't know if he's moved or not. He'll sit on top of the diffuser like a mother hen and just wait very patiently for somebody to come his way. He takes Flynn's head off. He knows there's one around the corner, but he gets too aggressive, and Quartz will celebrate while getting the diffuser. This match will continue onward. So close for Altiora to put it away, but Mirage will pick up their second round.
Excellent try there for Eska, but you can see really the mood on Flynn's face, the man on your left there, kind of the vibe that's going on in like the Mirage bullpen right now. It's just, okay, Mirage won that round. Great. But it's the second round that they've won of, the only 2 rounds that they've won, where it came down to a 1v1, and they only just managed it. So Mirage are not in a great mind space right now. Even though they salvaged that, there's certainly a lot of frustration going to be going on in Mirage's lines, and I understand why that would be. I'm sure I'd probably be frustrated too. So it's on Mirage to start building some momentum, to take this really seemingly dire situation and start to mold it to their favor. 1 or 2 more rounds in a row, and Mirage might start getting the vibes up. They might put themselves in a winning position. That was at least a good start, and it proves that Mirage can win defenses, if anything. So that's a great thing.
I don't know how much of a difference it's going to make here. I think you're correct. Not that we can gain much as we may try from the looks on people's faces. It sure didn't look like either Loading or Flynn were particularly enthused with the position that they're in right now. And I mean, the scoreline should tell you just as much as the expressions on their face, frankly, which is, yeah, things are going pretty badly for Mirage right now, especially when you start off on your map choice. Cafe was their pick, and they are getting humbled at the moment. Mirage picks up their second round, and now we go back into it. And Cocktail is not the play the second time around here. Obviously, they win it. Or sorry, Kitchen rather is not the play here. They're instead going to go to the second floor. So a bit of a change. And it's going to be on the dining and mining bomb site, which has not shown up yet. So that'll give us a full spread of all 4 of the bomb sites. Nice to see that in play.
I want to say, it is cool that we're seeing mining here. That is cool. And look at this. We're not just seeing mining. It's a reinforcement set up on the bottom floor with Zilchi, cardiac sensor out. So this is how they're going to try and deny a plant in mining. That's really clever. I like this setup here from Mirage. This is fun stuff. But I just want to briefly touch on the fact that we've possibly seen... I think it's easy to say this last patch was... Neon Dawn was probably one of the most violently meta-shifting patches we've ever seen in Siege. Maybe not the most, but way up there. And there hasn't been a lot of development on the meta, so we can expect some upsets in how teams interact with each other. And we might be getting a little taste of that here. But on top of that, really, honestly, Eska and Spirits are just not losing fights. That's the main thing that I'm taking away from this match. Sure, the meta is different. Things are different. It's cool to talk about. But Eska and Spirits are not losing fights. That's the main thing.
Yeah, there are some times where you can characterize a match by the strats that you see and, the confidence of teams and yada, yada, yada. And you can try to break down the minutia of the way teams set up their executes or set up their retakes or defenses, etc. But sometimes it really just boils down to something as simple as 1 or 2 of your players are unbeatable in their gunfights, and that's all the difference that it takes. That's it. Flynn now, playing from 2 floors below, gets the very first pick for Mirage. That's good news for the team. It's going to take out Eska. The sledge will not be able to do any reconstruction work on that top floor. It's going to put more on the shoulders of Sonar, who's still got 1 explosive left. All 3 breaches, make that 2 now. And Ash, who now has breaches as well. And still another set of breaches. A second kill comes in for Mirage, as Penguin might actually be able to get this diffuser down. Falls off at the last second. I don't know if Mirage is trying to retake here. They are indeed, and they've got the kill feed, including a team kill from Flynn onto Silent. That's going to leave the man of the hour, Spirits, in a 1v4. Diffuser, 15 meters away. He'll have to get up as quickly as he can, but he's got too many angles to watch. Swings, looks to the left, but he gets pounced on from the right. Quartz cleans that one up. And Mirage, possibly stitching a comeback together, finds their second round in a row.
So that's exactly what Mirage needed. That's going to be a big breath of fresh air into Mirage's lungs. That's the first round they've won where it doesn't feel like Altiora is about to take the win right out from their hands. And that's great. That's good. Nice teamwork from Mirage. I will say that C4 from below, Flynn getting the team kill, I believe it was him. That's not great. But it's not the end of the world. And again, a win is a win. We take those. So Mirage, at least now, have gotten to the position where they last lost this map, which was 7-3 again against SSG. So this is not going to be an absolute trouncing. Mirage are also presumably going to be picking up steam after that round. So maybe we'll see them carry this forward. Again, those bans do heavily favor the defense, in my opinion. The Thatcher Maverick is just really significant on this map.
And like we said, the changes to Valkyrie and Wamai have made them a little bit weaker. Obviously, Valk losing that deployable shield, Wamai's changes to the magnets, and him also losing the deployable shield. They're not going to be as potent even if they were available, but you know how strong Valkyrie is on a map like this. Not only do those Valk cams work outside, though there has been a conversation from some content creators, I'm sure you might have seen, about disabling the black eye cams when you throw them out of bounds.
How would you feel about that, Parker?
I would actually be okay with that, but I do worry that with the changes that have been made to a number of the electronics operators, and then also nerfing Valkyrie by allowing her cams to go outside, would make it so that running an IQ is not really necessary most of the time.
That's a good point.
And I mean, I would love to see there be more diversity in the attacker lineups. That's why I've talked often about how I would like to see fewer bulletproof gadgets and some tweaks to operators like Maestro or like Malusi that allow their gadgets to be countered with bullets rather than with explosives or a sledgehammer. Regardless, that's a conversation for another day. I also tweeted before we got into this match that it costs $0 to nerf Zofia, and people were very angry, and I have been enjoying the responses immensely.
I've wanted Zofia to at least see a slight nerf since like her launch. I mean, she's just too versatile. I mean, when she first came out, it was just like, why? It's another one of those step-ups operators where you take like a concept like Ashe and then you add to it, making it a little bit more, not always just exclusively better, but different. Different. And with the 3 charges, Ashe is a different operator too now. She's got a lot of utility packed into that grenade launcher. Anyway, as you said, conversation for another time. Altiora doing a good job here at pushing off these defenders on the top floor. This is, of course, a bottom floor defense from Mirage. So this is time killing that Mirage is trying to bring out. They're just shaving seconds off the clock, and it's working. No casualties incurred. So Altiora has gotten the job done. They haven't gotten any of the benefits that they would have liked in their package. So it's not ideal for Altiora. It's not the end of the world. They still have half the round to open up above the site.
And you still have to be somewhat wary of the members of Altiora falling off in terms of their gunplay as well. Spirit's got 12 kills in the first 3 rounds, and he has gotten 3 since then. Now, that's been overshadowed by Eska climbing up the ladder himself, actually besting Spirits with 16 kills. But Euphoria hasn't found one. Penguin, the star that was talked about extensively, only has 2. Eska, thankfully, well, he's not asleep at the wheel just yet. And there's the mirror going down as Quartz is completely deaf as the entire ceiling above him gets torn away, and then he gets punished by the L85 in the hands of the sledge. Only 2 kills away for Eska to hit the 20 mark. He might be able to do it, but this could also be the last round as now Silent goes down too. Nobody from Altiora has found their death just yet. Sonar's been punished, but he can withstand as Zofia's unique ability allows her to get back up. It's just Zilchi and Flynn. Yet again, we've talked about these two working together before. 30 seconds with 5 members of Altiora breathing down your neck, and you're not even on the bomb site. If you're Zilchi, you're waiting to come back in. And it's only on Flynn's hands now. As a grenade goes in front of him and he accepts his fate, he looks down, and I think it's a pretty resounding, well, and that's it. An explosive end to that round gives Euphoria map number 1. It was Mirage's map, but the victory goes into the column of Altiora.
Well, that was just an absolute trouncing from Altiora there. Eska and Spirits. You talked about it. Spirits, great first few rounds. And then Eska picked up the slack. 19 kills for Eska in the end. 19 in a 7-3. That's a one-sided match that you just don't normally... It went way shorter than it usually does. You don't normally see 19 kills in a setting like that, especially with one of your teammates getting a nearly the same amount. So well done there to Altiora. It really set the tone, and I hope for the sake of competition that the next map is nothing like that one.
I mean, you and I often talk about how we don't have any vested interest in the teams that are playing and their victories. We just want a good match. And so far, it's been a good match for fans of Altiora. For fans of Mirage, you're still waiting for your team to wake up. We have a best of 5, so there's still at least 2 more maps to be played. We got Clubhouse up next, but directly up next is a break. And then some beautiful analysts will go through what they saw on map number 1.
Listen, Altiora looking to dethrone Mirage as the best in Canada, and they're gonna take map 1 on Cafe. But fellas, the analysts at the desk, Jesse and Jacob, what were some things that just really got you going when it came to watching this map? I don't know, maybe the first 2 aces we saw?
Well, the first 2 aces certainly helped to set the tone for the rest of the map, but the rest of the map should be the story. When you have 2 players combining for 34 frags, there really isn't much that Mirage can do to combat that. Everyone else on Altiora can kind of just take a back seat because of how aggressive those 2 players, in particular Eska and Spirits, were being on their roam clears, and it really made this one a lights out show.
Yeah, I mean, talk about a shock. I mean, Mirage are going to be the team that most people expected to win the whole series, and then they come into their own map pick and they really drop the ball. They're not managing to find barely any rounds. They get 1 in the first 6. Really disappointing for them for sure. Obviously some great plays from Altiora. Not Penguin, who I was hyping up, but some other players as well. Definitely stood up and they did a lot of work for Altiora. So a lot to be proud of on their side. And I mean, maybe a surprise to some people. I think maybe some of the better analysts could have predicted this, but you know, maybe just
okay.
What do you mean the better analyst? I am
Jesse.
the better analyst, Jesse.
7-3.
Oh boy.
7-3. Wait, first off, we gotta look at the numbers, okay? Eska, 19 kills, 4 deaths, but then Spirit right behind him, who had back-to-back aces, finished the game with 15 kills and only 5 deaths. Jacob, this type of firing power, man, do you think Mirage has what it takes to battle against them?
I want to call it a shaky start. I really want to say that this was just kind of an off day, or just for Cafe, because there are other maps that we're going to go into with this best of 5 that they might fare a little bit better on. But this was a map that they said, you know what, we might as well give this a try, and we expected them to at least have some of an advantage because they beat Altiora on Cafe prior to now. They did it in stage 1. But Altiora is also a substantially better team since stage 1, so maybe you could say that this was the anticipated result.
I mean, this is just the first map out of a best of 5. Now, Jesse, before we head into map 2, let's talk about how Mirage played Cafe and how you think they should approach the next map, Clubhouse, from what we saw.
I mean, Cafe was a bit of a disaster for Mirage. I thought that their attacks, as the caster sort of touched on, were a little bit old school. They were a little bit linear. It seemed like they were very slow, particularly at the start. There were some adaptations. I thought that second bar attack was nice, moving over to the cocktail windows. But generally, those attacks just weren't good enough. And the defenses, again, there was some new stuff in there. That final defense on kitchen cooking was pretty good. But ultimately didn't win them the round. It's at least something new. But it felt like a lot of kind of stale stuff from Mirage. Okay. And I could sit here and say, well, it's the first map. They're warming up. It's okay, Mirage fans. They're going to bring this one back. But that's their map pick. We're in a best of 5. The format literally gave Mirage 7 maps and said, go ahead, pick your favorite. Play whatever map you want. And Mirage said this one and then got destroyed by Altiora. That's not okay. And heading to Clubhouse, Altiora got the same bargain. They had every map in front of them. They picked their favorite. Guess what, Mirage? They probably didn't make the same mistake that you did. This is going to be a way tougher challenge for you than Cafe was. This is really looking bad.
Oh, okay. I'm fired up now. Jacob, now heading into Clubhouse, what do we need to see from Mirage? Who really needs to step it up? There was one player that I saw at the bottom, other than Flynn. He's always down there, right? But players like Zilchi, we know that there's star potential on this roster and they can definitely frag. But who do you want to keep your eyes on to really kick things up? Because, Altiora, they're bringing it, especially individually.
Well, I think it probably does have to come back to Silent's performance. Like we mentioned before, his inconsistency from stages 1 to 2 has been a pretty big focal point for Mirage, and sometimes it doesn't really seem like they know what to do if they don't have one player like leading the charge, especially from an entry perspective. And it kind of feels like Quartz has been taking more of that role, but you can't always rely on one player to frag out, and Mirage definitely don't seem to have everything clicking on all cylinders. So it's not just that one player needs to step up, it's that everyone collectively needs to do a better job of holding their own. We're in a new meta. This is a new dawn, a neon dawn for Rainbow Six Siege, and I would certainly hope that it doesn't take them all that long to get into a groove. Remember, best of 5. They've still got time, but when you lose your own map pick that bad, it's kind of a team thing and not just an individual thing.
I get it. I messed up playing the top. Say, Jesse, the players are ready to cast us. Ready. So just really quick, who's winning this next map?
Altiora.
Altiora.
That was quick.
Yeah.
All right. So you heard it. Quick analysis by Jesse. Great prediction. Kicks and Parker, take it away.
To win Clubhouse. That's pretty incredible. Do you have the same vibe coming into this one, Michael?
Based on that last map, yes. My immediate vibe, my immediate impression is Altiora are going to keep the steam. They're going to keep that ball rolling down the hill. I imagine there will be some moments of brilliance from Mirage because they're Mirage and they have great players who have great moments. But we're going to need to see them prove it as they play the map out. It's, if we're going off last map, it's pretty clear what everyone thinks.
Yeah, I think that the major concern when you look at Mirage is simply having their players show up on the score sheet. Obviously the firepower that's being brought from Altiora and was brought in their last match before we actually got into this matchup is substantial. Altiora are showing up big time, and I don't think Eska and Spirits are going to be the same on this map. It's possible. It's unlikely that somebody's going to show up at that same level. For Mirage, you gotta rise to that occasion. You just have to. Quartz has always shown up on this team, always. But you need a deeper supporting cast. And I mean, Clubhouse is going to be a defensive struggle for either of these teams. Mirage gets the benefit of starting on defense. That's going to go well for them. And they decide to ban Sledge. So it's a targeted ban towards Altiora. They say, hey, we don't want Eska on this operator. Get rid of him. That also means that when Quartz goes to attack, he's going to have to play somebody different too.
I think that's a smart play. Clubhouse, as maps go, Sledge is useful here for some key things, but he's not as useful on this map as he would be on Cafe, or as he was actually on Cafe. So it's, it's a smart ban because we saw Eska play so well with him, but at the same time, less relevant on this map at least. The big thing also is those nades. We actually saw so many good nades from Altiora. I think it's one of the things maybe that was under appreciated about Altiora's attack is their use of those frag grenades. Really well done stuff with that. And the final ban will be on to Maestro. So it's going to be Sledge and Thatcher, the two SAS attackers. Wamai and Maestro finalized there. I still, I don't know how I feel about that Wamai ban anymore, to be honest. I mean, I get it. You're really trying to hammer home on this change to the meta. You're trying to not only have the shift that we already got, but you're trying to force it even further and keep your opponent a little bit upset about what their options are in terms of, the anti-throwables, the anti-projectiles. But it's, I feel like there might be more valuable bans out there, like maybe a Melusi ban even. I'm not sure. It's something that is still, I think, to be discussed.
It's also speculated that a Mira ban could be effective on a number of maps. Now, obviously, Mira doesn't get the extensive amount of play on Clubhouse like she used to, and I think with the exception of Jim and Master, there's a lot better operators that you can bring on most of these bomb sites. I mean, take a look at what Mirage is bringing right now.
Yeah.
You've got your staples. Smoke, some wall denial / hatch denial, which is going to be Zilchi's job here. Now, if that Electric Claw gets shaken off, should it get put on the 2 hatches, which is quite likely unless Zilchi just uses it on the kitchen hatch and that's it, and just tries to use both Electric Claws on the same one, the change to Hibana is going to be huge because you can bait out those Electric Claws 2x Kairos at a time. You only need 4x Kairos to open a hatch. So it's totally possible that you use 12 of those 16 effectively and then still have 6 left over to go onto the church wall, or to possibly go onto the wall that people refer to as pulse spot. There's a lot of ways that Altiora can play this one out, and we're going to get a very good view of how the changes to Hibana work on this map.
From what I understand, from my personal experience so far in playing things like FPL, and just what I've been hearing from other players, is pretty clear. Hibana being allowed on Clubhouse makes defending the bottom floor a good bit more difficult. It's just you're gonna get the drops open on the attack. If it's what you want, those drops will very certainly get opened. You can deal with most Electro Claws in one way or another. So even with the Thatcher ban, it's not going to be the end of the world for the attack. They have other choices they can bring, like the Collie, though that's very rare, or the Maverick, which is what we have in this case. So with that said, a lot more pressure goes onto your roamers. And the interesting thing here for Mirage is that they are choosing to forego a roam presence in their debut round of Clubhouse in this meta. And I think that's an interesting choice. I don't know how I feel about it.
I don't know how I feel about it either. It sounds like they might have actually just taken out one of the X-Kairos. Either that or they lost some of it. I'm not exactly sure, but it definitely sounded like there was an issue with some electricity or electrical work somewhere in the background. I can echo your sentiments in regards to roaming on this bottom floor. It has been in vogue recently that teams will stick 1 or 2 of their defenders up top, but I don't know if Mirage is the most comfortable with that, especially with the confidence that Altiora is showing on their side of the guns. I mean, if you have somebody roaming upstairs and you happen to be pretty decent, then you'll be able to pinch those roamers really quickly. Those are the new changes to Hibana being shown very prominently, by the way, as Quartz looks to flank. And he might actually be able to catch somebody here. But his position is known. So no, he will drop right back down. He gets droned down and he manages to get away. Which is a major win for Mirage because, well, you don't want to give up that very first pick. Especially when you're going to be playing off of the church wall with a Nitro Cell in hand.
Nitro Cell will land at the bottom of main stairs. If timed correctly, it could pick off some attackers. But there's the first pick. It's Penguin onto Flynn. But look at the time. 20 seconds. Altiora need to speed things up. There's the second for Penguin. Down goes Zilchi. And he's planting to boot. Spirits and Eska get 1 each, and it's suddenly only Quartz. C4 goes out, but it doesn't matter. Eska's there to catch Quartz, or he can detonate. And Altiora will take round number 1. In what appeared to be a close contest, they'll take it actually almost one-sidedly.
They only really gave up 1 or 2 bodies, it looked like, amidst the madness. It's hard to tell. We'll get the scoreboard up in just a second, but still a pretty dominant round from Altiora, and they lagged quite a bit. They took a lot of time that could very easily be seen as them stalling, But in all reality, it was them lining everything up for a really nice execute. And Mirage got caught in all of those engagements and losing those heads-up gunfights. If that breaks in your opponent's favor 1 or 2 times and there is no counter response, you are in bad shape. And as we saw, it put a lot of pressure on the true anchors, as all 5 members of Mirage were technically anchored on the bomb site. 2 of the truer anchors to try and dislodge a plant from going down. Couldn't do it at that point. Altiora were very firmly embedded in the midst of the bomb site, and Mirage were unable to retake, given the control that Altiora had in the site and from above. So with that, Mirage doesn't really seem too concerned with their church. They think, we'll go upstairs to cache CCTV. We always talk about the thought process that goes behind this. Some teams will go right back to the same bomb site because they feel that they made 1 or 2 minor errors that they can fix. Or maybe they thought that through a stroke of luck, their opponents didn't deserve that round. The fact that Mirage got walloped on that bomb site speaks volumes about the fact that they've now gone upstairs, because they are very well aware that 1 or 2 small changes probably wouldn't have fixed that much.
Yeah, probably not. It was just too... It was too much, and those 2, like, especially those 2 entries from Penguin going completely unanswered, and then he not only gets those, but starts planting as well. It's a rough showing. We'll see what Mirage does here. Again, we did talk about those roamers, by the way, or the lack thereof for Mirage. I will reiterate, I think that was incredibly relevant to the outcome of that round. I mean, 20 seconds left on the clock and Altiora wins in a 5v5. Maybe if the 20 seconds weren't there, it might have been a different story. Maybe Altiora would have been forced to rush. But anyway, I digress. This round, Penguin opening up the wall with Maverick. Quartz will go for a run out and get 1, but not a second. Maverick persists, which means the wall will still be opened, and that's just an even exchange. Now, it does definitely favor Mirage because the utility that is shaved away from Altiora is 3 Ash charges. That's a lot. Whereas Quartz will very likely have already thrown out all of his Valkyrie cams. So not a huge deal. Losing a C4, Mirage can bounce back from that. Altiora, on the other hand, a little bit of a bad scuffle there that's going to definitely not favor them.
The one thing I will say is that the Valkyrie likes to play down in lounge for a plant or a post plant to use that C4 as denial. And the fact that Quartz is gone means that, well, Mirage were likely assuming that he wouldn't be playing on that spot, and instead we'll have somebody else assume that position. My guess would be Zilchi at some point, should he end up in such a spot. And there he is, right down below. Not quite in lounge, but by stock, and close enough to get to it if need be, relying off of the Z pings, or since this is Canada Division, the Z pings. Tosses up a C4 and waits to see if Altiora can make it through construction. That call is going to be made from Flynn, or possibly even Silent. As things go from bad to worse for the smoke inside of the bomb site, more of that floor disappears. What a shot from Flynn onto Penguin. And just like that, Mirage has an advantage. Flynn tossing out the last canister that he has. It'll go deep into construction, and he'll play the angles by the doorway looking into the door that leads to construction. He's not going to be shaken off of his spot. I think you called it, Michael. Losing that Ash could have been a crippling blow to Altiora. A bit of a recovery now as down goes Flynn to Eska. Sonar gets Silent. And just like that, we're back to 2v2 with Loading getting in on the fun, but he gets punished. And it's Zilchi down below, as we talked about. He's made his way up to the top of Red Stairs. Finds 1 on the Spirits. Eska last alive, going for the plant. Zilchi will need to rely on this call. He has no Nitro Cell, so there's no denial. And his only way in is the same way that you're going to imagine that Eska is looking. Eska very low on HP. The MP5 will be more than suitable, but Eska wins the gunfight, and Altiora finds 2 rounds in a row.
Great recovery from Altiora. That definitely looked like a Mirage round, but just in the end, Zilchi could not make it work. Unfortunate there for Mirage. Surely fortunate for Altiora. One thing I'm noticing here, this is a common trend. There's a little bit of, I want to say, trepidation on the side of Mirage. The way they're playing, they're maybe just a tad too passive. There are, of course, exceptions to this rule. Flynn was doing great as smoke inside of cache. He managed to get that pick on the breach, and he also used his gas canisters very aggressively. I think that's exactly what Mirage needed in that moment, especially with the contingency plan of the C4 being just below the breach. But even with that, Mirage just isn't racking up enough of these frags to maintain their advantage when they gain it. So Flynn gets that pick, and Mirage puts themselves in a manpower advantage, and, suddenly they freeze up. They start getting a little too passive. They let Altiora take the angles and take the fights and get those kills and bring themselves back into the round. So Altiora, great job seizing the opportunity that is being presented to them. That's fantastic. And, more of that, please. Mirage, though, it's not necessarily that they need to play more passive. It's not necessarily that they need to play more aggressive. There's, arguments to be made for either. They need to find their place here and be comfortable in it and commit to it, because it seems like they're flip-flopping between the two options, and it's causing them more grief than they really need to be putting on themselves.
I do wonder how much of this is just Mirage realizing that if they try to take gunfights, they just simply do not have the firepower right now. I'm more than willing to say that Altiora are far deeper when it comes to gun skill. And if Mirage tries to take those gunfights, they might come out just simply losing and will now instead need to rely more off of the tactics that they have at their disposal and their strats. Now, the problem with that is that Altiora's strats have been pretty good, and so far through this matchup, I would even argue that gun skill aside, Altiora have looked like the more composed team. Now, to argue against myself, a lot of that comes from what we saw in map 1 in Cafe, at which point it's very easy for Mirage to have been in mental free fall and not really be the most coordinated of teams. So this is the opportunity for them to show what they can do. And right now, things haven't really worked out so well for them. They start on defense on Clubhouse. Altiora takes the very 2 first rounds. And now with a minute spent, we'll see if Mirage can break this trend going back downstairs to the very first bomb site that they were unsuccessful on.
But look at this, though. I mean, it's so much time for the attack. And why is that? It's because the defense isn't roaming. Again, I know I feel like a broken record at this point, but defending the bottom floor, no roam, is going to put no time pressure, of course, on the attack. And they had 2 minutes when they started opening up above these defenders. And they've used the first minute fairly well. They haven't managed to get open the kitchen drop, but they will. They've got the Hibana. She's going to make it happen. Is that a C4? That looks like a C4 used up. Didn't get the X-Gyros. Neither did what I believe was just now... actually, no, that might have been a nade, because there's no impacts on Mirage. Whatever it was, the second explosive didn't do anything either. And Hibana's now going to get open the bar drop as well as the kitchen drop. So there it is. Job done. Altiora, with 50 seconds left, have all the avenues that they desire to execute onto this site.
And the line of sights too, especially if you're going to be playing upstairs inside of bar, even if you're going to be playing inside a kitchen. Now, for the second round in a row, Quartz will start off the killing. He'd gone for a run out. This time, he's much safer in his position. He takes down Penguin, so no Maverick at his disposal. He'll unsheath the Nitro Cell and look towards the bottom of the main stairs. But a call comes in from Mirage that the aggression is angling over towards blue. Eska breathes in a little bit of that toxic canister that's thrown out from Flynn. No canisters remaining. Eska will have to drop to get the diffuser down. One trapped inside a dirt tunnel. Zilchi finds one for himself. Flynn punished, and there's the drop, but Quartz is waiting for it. Prepared and ready. Mirage seems to have fixed their issues, and there you have it. They absolutely clobber Altiora, as with only 10 seconds left, the attackers have no opportunity to push in. The first round breaks in favor of Mirage at a much faster pace than we saw on Cafe.
So for the record, Parker, I think you're right. I think that Altiora is definitely the favorite team in terms of the engagements right now. And it seems that Mirage thinks you're right too, because in that round, they did shift gears. They committed to one play above all else, and that was the true passive turtle hold on the bottom floor. It seems Mirage were expecting the drops to get opened up and did not choose to fight it. Instead, committing to the blender that is the entry on that site. And since Altiora was not able to get the picks that they desired after they got the avenues open, those drops, it just fell apart for Altiora. They weren't able to get into the site because they didn't silence enough of the guns on Mirage. And there it is. When the entry came, Mirage tore up Altiora. So, a well-thought-out strategy there for Mirage. A good answer to what we've been seeing from Altiora. The question is, will Mirage be able to keep that ball rolling? Will they be able to keep racking up these defensive rounds? By all rights, they should be able to. This is, of course, defense on Clubhouse, but Altiora has been proving themselves to be quite lethal so far today, and I don't want to count them out at any point.
We can give credit where credit is due to both of these teams. And, well, I mean, there's obviously not a ton to go off of, but Mirage will probably be happier with where they are right now. I certainly would be in comparison to Cafe, as they were in total and utter freefall. So,
Yeah.
Altiora will trot out a very similar lineup that we're seeing, and I don't imagine there'll be that much flexibility just yet for the attackers. We didn't see it on Cafe. It's not really present here either, as Maverick and Hibana will be used so often. I liked your comparison of Hibana on this map and how hard it can be for the defenders to work with a Hibana on the board. Same thing with Bank, if you remember when Bank used to be in the map pool. Well, they'd say that if you left 2 of the hard breachers up while defending the basement of Bank, it was almost impossible to do that.
Right.
A little bit of a difference on round number 4 now, as we'll technically get things underway, as unfortunately there's been a death in the family. Zilchi goes down as the very first kill comes out in favor of Altiora, and it comes with 2 minutes still left on the clock. Zilchi trying to swing as the Maverick was opening up the wall to CCTV, and now the rest of the wall has been opened up as well. Altiora splitting their forces between the balcony over by CCTV and over by construction.
Attackers have dropped the bomb diffuser.
Mirage isn't out of this round just yet. That's not the final say. We've seen plenty of comebacks today, and Penguin, actually doesn't take any damage from Quartz. I'm guessing Penguin was not expecting Quartz to be inside of Kitchen, rightfully so. I mean, who would be inside of Kitchen? But Quartz hasn't gotten anything out of this yet. His C4 will miss. I think he misses that drone. He will land the headshot, though. That's a really big kill for Quartz. He definitely seemed like he was going to be counted out of this round, and he's been contained in Freezer. There's nowhere to rotate to. He can't make the change over to Dirt Tunnel. He doesn't have the C4 to make the hole. So he's trapped there, and he'll be finished off by Eska, who is holding the angle from above. But job done. The kill acquired. Your Maverick gone. Not only the Maverick, but a very hot gun in Penguin. And on top of that, plenty of time wasted. So Mirage definitely going to be thankful to the job that Quartz just did in Kitchen.
45 seconds left for those gas canisters to cover that doorway leading from construction, and Flynn will need to try to stay alive. Diffuser is down 2 and will get picked back up, presumably by Eska, who appears to be on drone if my silhouettes are telling me the full story. There he is indeed, and the diffuser is inside of logistics. There goes Silent, as it looks like the lead for Altiora will continue to grow, but it was a bait. Spirits gets pulled on in, and Loading gets the last laugh. At some point, Silent will need to be picked back up because Altiora still does have a numbers advantage. An immediate pivot here from the Kaid, but Loading cannot land his shots. There goes Flynn, so it's all on the Kaid's shoulders, but Sonar is better in every instance here. Ugh.
Were you trying to say...
A bit of a strange round there, Michael. Oddly paced, but Altiora ends up taking it, and they stretch their lead to 3-1.
Were you going to say, like, in every way, but then you thought, no, wait, because that's too one-sided? Or what
Yes.
was it? Yeah, that's what I thought. Because you can't say, like, in every way, because then you're like, oh, yeah. I mean, no. Well done there. See what that is, Parker? If you mess up, I go and mess up even harder. Just to, because we're buddies. High five.
You heard that. That was us actually high-fiving.
Yeah. So, Mirage struggling a little bit there. The Roam did a good enough job. I'd say Quartz is to be commended, but that early kill on the Zilchi really was pretty damning in the end. I talked about it in the middle of the round. It wasn't the end there, but it definitely set the, I guess, the tone for the outcome, because there was no answer back to that Zilchi kill. There was just none at no point. Quartz's kill onto Penguin by Kitchen was great, but it was a trade for himself. So in the end, that's not your answer back. Then on the entry, you're already losing bodies, and yeah, there's a little bit of a saving grace when your Kaid starts, fragging out and holding his position, but at that point, the rest of the site is already destroyed by Altiora. So yeah, well done to Altiora, following through on their early advantage. And now Mirage, I mean, they're starting to question, where do we go? They'll bring themselves to Gym.
I mean, look at the lineup right now. You've only successfully won Church. You're going to just keep bashing your head against the wall and hope for the best when it comes to Cash and CCTV. I mean, if you're Mirage, you can do that, or you can gamble. If you feel like Cash CCTV is a loss, then, well, I mean, even if you lose Gym Master, it's no worse than what you think is going to happen on a potentially better bomb site. This changes to Hibana have not just on their own, but have certainly made it a lot more attacker friendly on this map. Either that or Mirage are just keeping up their level of play that we saw from Cafe.
I think, honestly, Parker, I think
It could be, a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B.
Yeah.
That one right there.
Probably,
So
yeah.
Attackers recovered the bomb diffuser.
it has been a bad day so far for Mirage, but I mean, there is still time to recover. I mean, we've seen world championships get decided by reverse sweeps. So you can bide your time if you're Mirage, but right now, this new Altiora roster, as was pointed out by Jacob and the analysts, but Jacob in particular, who I was listening to, talking about how they've gone through quite a revolving door, a revolving cast of characters, and right now it seems to be working out for them. And they're able to challenge this dominance that we've long thought
Attackers have located a bomb.
Mirage had.
Yeah, it is curious how, I mean, you take that break, the hiatus, and you come back and now Altiora seemingly has swapped places with Mirage. We saw some moments where we thought that might have happened in the past, where Altiora were looking strong, but then they played Mirage and they got trounced. Or they played Mirage and they lost narrowly. But here and now, I mean, it just seems like all Altiora. C4 missing there. Nade will not. Down goes loading. That's huge. And another entry for Spirits, who picks up his second kill. Penguin will do the same. And nothing at all for Mirage. Altiora shut them out. A flawless round.
You look away for 1 second and what happens? Everybody is dead. And I mean everybody. Flawless round for Altiora, and they will, just as they did on Cafe, they will take the first half. The trouble here for Mirage is that, well, Altiora did this on attack, on a map that we still consider to be defender favored. Obviously, we will put that theory to the test when these two teams switch sides. If Altiora clobbers on defense, then we can say, oh, well, maybe it was just Altiora being really good and Mirage didn't look the most practiced. But up next, we have another defender-sided map, Theme Park. It will be played no matter what. Right now, Oregon looks exceptionally unlikely as map number 5. Villa looks unlikely too as map number 4. But we have quite this defender-favored and defender-flavored set of maps to be played right now. So it's hard for us to look at a new meta. It's hard for us to look at this new Altiora lineup with all the question marks that we have and make a judgment call as to whether or not we think that Altiora is just decisively the better team. I can tell you right now that I absolutely think that Altiora is the better team in this match.
Yeah.
Mirage have given us, especially on Clubhouse, Michael, very little to praise them on.
Yeah, we're seeing right now just the word
Attackers must locate and defuse
is
the bomb.
dominance. I think that's appropriate. Mirage still, though, again, they've had moments where they definitely call into question that dominance. So the one round that Mirage has on this map so far was pretty good for them. And we've seen some close rounds where Altiora only narrowly won. So while the score is 4-1, I don't know if it's not as one-sided as map number 1, that's for sure. And I don't think it represents the match appropriately. So we'll see if Mirage can start racking up some more rounds for themselves. Silent is going for a very aggressive play in Lounge. And he will get a drone, but nothing else. That's good due diligence there from Altiora. They are droning themselves into every nook and cranny, not expecting or presuming that the Lounge will be clear, but being sure, droning it out. Even though Mirage hasn't roamed on the basement yet, 100% sure it's clear means that you lose nobody to, well, Brazen plays. So good job there to Altiora, and Still's confidence in their execution.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen teams the world over at varying skill levels. Some of those teams being world champion caliber fail to drone out parts of this map in particular, and they pay for it. Especially when the defense is down below, because there was a period of time where roaming while defending the basement was unheard of. Now, the one thing that is working very much in favor of Altiora, as this is the third defense on this bomb site for Mirage, they were successful the last time on it. The one thing that's working in favor of Altiora is the time. They've already been able to open up the hatches. They've already been able, with the exception of Kitchen Hatch, to put tons of pressure on the defense. Now, they have some work to be done here. As you can see, more of the kitchen is going to get torn up by the Buck of Eska, who was unsuccessful in his endeavor in this part of the map previously. He got gassed by Flynn and then finished off by some gunfire inside of Church. And Mirage are going to be prepared for this. They learned from their mistakes, but what a shot from Spirits, as he might as well have been miles away, and he absolutely buries Zilchi. Altiora have opened up the killing with 45 seconds remaining. This is the very final defense for Mirage, and they're going to want to try to get as much momentum out of this before moving to attack as possible.
It's one of the longest single kills you can get in the building, and Eska's going to add to it. This is the difference maker here for Altiora. They're getting their picks. There's the third and the fourth. Now it's all loading. He'll pick up one inside of blue, but no more. Sonar shuts him down. Altiora finish this half 5-1, a definitive result. And following their victory on map number 1, an attacking half on Clubhouse like this really does sort of put the writing on the wall.
I mean, no aces this time, but
True.
still a flawless round.
Yeah.
And 4 opening duels breaking in their favor. Objective play going down as well. A victory on every single bomb site that they played on. Once again, you want to be as unbiased and as objective, neutral, you can call it, as possible. But there's very little right now for us to praise Mirage over. This has been a really poor performance for Mirage through these 2 maps, and there's still potential for it to go worse. They were able to come back a little bit on Cafe, but I think we can all agree that that was mostly due to the fact that they were defending on Cafe. If we believe that Clubhouse is still a defender-sided map, which might not be the case, and in this particular brawl between these teams, the attackers could have a leg up, then Mirage will have an advantage. They might be able to get a round or 2, maybe even come back. But Mirage, unless they go perfect, will need to do the same thing that Altiora just did in a 5-1 scoreline in order to push to overtime. If it is a defender-sided Clubhouse, this map is effectively over because Altiora will ride out the remainder of the regulation play on defense until overtime would even be required should Mirage be able to come back. Once again, for those that are watching, Theme Park is up next. It is also quite a defender-favored map. Obviously not so much since the changes to Jaeger, Wamai, Valkyrie, etc. And of course, the changes to Goyo that happened quite a while back have made some of the bomb sites on Theme Park easier for the attackers.
Parker.
Yes, Michael.
What makes a man turn neutral? Lust for gold? Power? Or were they just born with a heart filled with neutrality? I couldn't get it out of my head when he said neutral.
Oh my god.
And he just kept talking. I was like, oh no.
You just sitting there. I can't see you like usual, so you're just sitting there fidgeting in your chair.
No.
Just give me the mic. I got things to say.
I was fidgeting, and that's the funny thing because we normally, like, when we want to say something, we just we do hand signals. We can't
elaborate and extraordinary hand gestures,
and we can't do those anymore. So it's
extravagant.
Yeah.
Speaking of, by the way, Penguin had some things to say. So did Quartz, as this exchange of words, and Quartz right now is dominating the conversation. Spirits and Sonar are found by the R4C as Quartz gets in, gets the kill, and immediately gets out. No refrag potential as both of the offsite players from Altiora find their doom pretty early on. That's the Mute Mozzie duo, and those are going to be 2 very pivotal operators with playing offsite because the drones and the jammers that are present as their gadgets prevent you from being able to gain intel on the attacking side of things. Now, there's still another operator in play that's going to be very good at wasting time, and it happens to be the man who got the only kill so far for Altiora in this round. That's Penguin. He heads back downstairs after he tries to cloak as best as he can. Right now, the read has come in, though, from Mirage that there's nobody on the bomb site, so we can just push in, right? Wrong. Penguin greets you. 2 more kills to add to his tally. He finds 3, and he could have possibly gotten the thermite of Flynn inside of the escape tunnel, but Flynn will very accurately live the name of that part of the map, and he will escape. He's gone. It's 2v2 with a minute to go.
And there's going to be the kitchen drop opened up by the thermite. Flynn do some important work there and miss the shot onto Penguin, who gets his 4th kill. He's looking for an ace here, and that's really, I mean, that's been the story for Altiora so far through this series. Everyone wants in on the ace party. Silent, the last attacker. He's not out of this. 25 seconds is a decent chunk of time, but his HP is very low, and his utility, while there, is not going to be easily accessible in a low time situation like this. So he's more likely to just drop. There it is. In the site now, trying to take the fight to Penguin. Doesn't know where he is. Not going to use his stuns, apparently. He'll just creep up on the door of blue. Here comes the push, and the ace for Penguin. There's another one for Altiora. They just can't seem to stop having these amazing individual performances.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but that's Penguin's first ace in competitive/professional play, Michael. So there you have it. Hold on a second. Let's talk to our smart analyst, Jacob. Could you please tell us the numbers here?
Ooh.
If that is indeed Penguin's very first ace. I want to really stress the use of the word smart. So because right now there's only one other analyst on that panel, Michael, and he has to wear a silly shirt. So
chat, if you didn't know, normally Parker asks not Jacob but Jesse for the statistics, and
I call him Stats Boy.
Stats Boy, and this is a divergence from the norm.
Or Nerd Boy, something like that.
Now suddenly he's asking Jacob,
Numbers man,
the smart analyst. Wow.
This is a hell of a round, by the way, from Penguin.
It was.
They had to sacrifice Sonar and Spirits to the gods, but I think it was worth it because Penguin picks up 5 of his 9 kills in a single round. He gets an ace. Both he and Spirits have aces. Eska was a single kill away from an ace clutch on Cafe. So right now, Altiora have been dominating, not just in terms of strats, but also with how their players are playing effectively. And Penguin might have been asleep and towards the bottom of the score on Cafe, but he has picked things up. His time in the sun is obviously going quite well. And with that, not only do we want to give some commendation to Penguin, but that is Altiora on match point. This is their map. Next up is Theme Park. It seems almost certain that we will be going there sooner rather than later, as the spirit of Mirage is totally broken at this point.
No, Spirits plays on Altiora. He does it to me all the time. I gotta get at least
no
one
way
or
you just
two.
did that to me. I refuse. I refuse to believe that.
I mean, you left yourself wide open. It was like the easiest one ever.
I was actually going to do it earlier when you said something like, you made a comment about, oh, it seems like Mirage is too worried about the vertical. And I want to be like, no, vertical plays for OXG.
I'm glad you stopped yourself. I'm very proud of you.
I have restraint.
I'm proud of you, Parker.
I appreciate that. It's, you know, when I'm casting with the Esports Awards Color Commentator of the Year, I really need to up my game. And sometimes that means saying less. So.
Thank you, Parker. That's very humbling. I wonder if oh, hang on a second.
Oh.
Some damage done there. Spirits.
Wait a tick.
Holding on to brick for some people. Cement for others. That's what it was. Cement was not in my head. Spirits will be picked off in pits. So that's a good frag for Mirage. They put themselves in control now, and they look like they might be able to maintain that. So no answer back from Altiora. That's great. That's exactly what Mirage needs. And there's the answer back. Parker, off to you.
Yeah, I'll just take the remaining 90 seconds here. Penguin gets his 7th kill in a row to add to the tally that he had from the previous round, because aces transfer, right? Down goes Eska to Quartz. That's Quartz's double kill, so we've got both players on Altiora and Mirage looking for possible aces. How fitting would it be for Penguin to get an ace here after it had been Spirits getting to in map number 1. But let's not get ahead of ourselves, because what's more important than an ace is a victory for Altiora, and Mirage is aware of the risks, and they are very aware of the weight of this round in particular. On the hunt is Quartz. He should have no problem with this. Oh, but he loses it. How on earth? No 3rd kill, though, as Penguin pops up. He gets punished by Flynn playing upstairs, and now Flynn will head through the garage himself. They'll need to wrestle Quartz from the afterlife. He's down but not out. So Silent and Flynn will be the only 2 members that are upright. They'll deal with the anchors of Altiora with 35 seconds remaining. Quartz getting brought back to life means that the advantage will go in their favor. However, the entry to the bomb site will need to be through a small opening that a nitro cell will be very well, easy to cover. And Sonar's got access to that explosive in his hands. Waiting for the clock to strike is going to be Mirage. You can tell that they are close. They are tempting fate. There goes the Nitro Cell. It doesn't connect at all. Mirage manages to dodge it. So now Altiora will have to take matters into their own hands, but there's a cross that'll be established, and the Echo will need to come to the aid of Sonar. Diffuser goes down, and Mirage should have no problem being able to defend this. They'll watch, their sights trained on the areas at which Euphoria and Sonar will have to emerge from. Euphoria knows how difficult this is going to be. No real assistance from the Yokais. He gets swung from the window, but he can't re-engage. Sonar drops now. They'll push up. Sonar gets one. Looking for another. There's Euphoria. There's only one remaining. He's playing by the breach. This could be the map, and it will be. Euphoria finds two really important kills, and Altiora finds the diffuser to give themselves a 2-map lead.
Whoa! Altiora, it seemed like for a second there, Mirage was going to start pumping the brakes on this train, but Altiora says no. Shovels more coal into the engine, and we are just blasting off the tracks here. It's a completely dominant performance. Once again, that's 2 in a row now. And this one was even more so. That's 7-1. That's like, I mean, yeah, Mirage had some good rounds there, but still, the scoreline speaks for itself.
An unbelievable performance on Cafe is topped by an even stronger showing from Altiora on Clubhouse. With that, they have taken the 2 maps that have been played so far, one their own, but one being stolen away from Mirage. Will Altiora be able to put this one away on Theme Park? It's Mirage's map. We'll see. Before we get there, a break. Some analysts to discuss map number 2. Don't touch that browser. We'll be right back.
Hey folks, Jess Brohart here with Flynn from Mirage in advance of the Canada Division Finals. So Flynn, you guys played so well. You came out on top in both Stage 1 and Stage 2, went on to the qualifiers for both the August and the November majors. It's clear you're a very talented team, and that is why we stan Mirage. What do you think of your performance this year?
So the job's not done. We came in with the goal of not only being the best in Canada, but being able to reach beyond that. And I'd say we haven't quite hit that marker yet. Our ability to fight outside our weight class right now is not well defined in the record book yet. Still a lot of work to be done.
Is there anything in particular there that you've been focusing on, working to improve, or anything that you can address there?
It just comes down to teamwork and communication, just being a better team. You can have good individual plays here and there, but they can only save you so many times.
That's definitely true. So then looking forward to these finals, you are going to be facing Altiora. Your track record against them is very good. The last 2 times you faced them, you came out on top 2-1. Based on that, how's your confidence facing them this time?
Personally, my confidence is pretty good. I don't know how the rest of the team is feeling, but I'd say when it comes to Altiora, they're a team that can surprise you, and we learned that the hard way. Not only in our first matchup in Stage 1 on Oregon, I think we lost 6 rounds in a row against them in that first map, and then in Stage 2 in our matchup against them on Villa, I think they cleaned us 7-0, 7-1 on Villa. So I mean, that's a team that can come out of the woodwork and really throw a curveball at you. You can be confident all you want, but you can't walk in with your guard down.
That's true, but at the same time, do you think it speaks to maybe your team's adaptability that you were able to pivot, and even when you had those tough maps, you still came out on top?
Yeah, I'd say adaptability and the ability to get out of tricky situations is something that I lend a lot of credence to our IGL not loading for, and just the team as a whole. Honestly, we get out a lot of sticky situations that maybe we shouldn't. So if that's a good quality to have, a good trait to have for the team, then by all means.
So if you do beat Altiora here in the finals, you're going to earn a spot in the closed North American qualifiers. for the Six Invitational. Now, of course, we don't know yet who the other 5 teams that you would be facing are, but just where's your head at so far if you do make it into those closed qualifiers?
There's only so much prep work you can do because you'll never really know how the field will look by the time you're ready to play your first game. You know, who you go up against right now is a complete guessing game. So there's not a whole lot of prep work you can do walking into it. It's about refining your own work and playing your own game.
Sure, and as you said, even sometimes when you do know who you're facing, there can be curveballs and surprises. Well, best of luck going forward. Is there anything that you would like to say to your fans and supporters along the way?
Thank you for all the support. Thank you for hanging with us, and hopefully we see more of it in 2021.
Well spoken. Well, thank you so much and best of luck.
Thank you very much, Jess.
All right, welcome back to the desk. I'm your host, Billy, and I'm here with the analysts, Jacob and Jesse. At the beginning of that interview, when Jess asked Flynn, how's he feel about his regular season success, he said, job not done. Jacob, the way Matt went into it, is the job done?
No, and I think it's a little unfortunate that the interview had to play now that Mirage is down this badly, because Parker hit the nail on the head before we came back from break. Cafe was a really good showing from Altiora. Clubhouse was an even better showing, and there really isn't anything Mirage have been able to show themselves. It is a beatdown of the highest order. The guys on Altiora are fragging out, playing very well coordinated, and Mirage almost seem pensive at this point.
It's tough to have to do them dirty like that. I mean, I said that it wasn't going to get better going on to Altiora's map pick, and I think that's what we saw. Clearly Mirage even less comfortable than before. Some of their holds not necessarily what they wanted them to be, but again, you can't take away from Altiora. They played very well, and we saw some more players stepping up. We can take a look at the stats here now, and Penguin going 11-4. That's more what I was talking about in the pregame.
So it's like that Oprah meme where she comes up, she's like, aces, you get an ace, everybody gets an ace. This is the third ace we have seen so far as Altiora just completely dominates Mirage here on Clubhouse. But Penguin, 11-4, he finally had the showing that you were telling me you were expecting him to have. Now, when it came to defense and when he was popping off, what did you like about Altiora?
For Altiora, I mean, I like the fact that they, in terms of like when they were attacking at the very first half, they were managing to take things pretty slowly. They were looking at Mirage's defense every single time. They were doing their due diligence, clearing out those roamers. And then when it came to their defense, there maybe wasn't a huge sample size, but I mean, they did what had to be done, right? In that first round, they fragged out. That second round, the post plant was really impressive. I didn't think they were going to win that. They had a bit of a wacky strat, but it worked out in the end.
Yeah. Now, Jacob, Mirage going to theme park, reverse sweep. Do we see this happening at all? Because, I mean, these boys, they got to have some fight in them. We've seen this team before.
I don't know if I may or may not be responsible for Mirage who's not doing well, because I picked them to win this thing. But it's theme park, and theme park in this new meta is a little bit different. For those who haven't been able to see what this meta looks like in competitive play, theme park is actually one of those maps that I think is beginning to get transformed a little bit more and more. There's less things you have to worry about clearing, therefore there's more opportunities for attacker flexibility. And if Mirage are going to do something innovative, it will probably need to come in the form of changing up their overall attack strategy, just kind of on the whole, not for theme park, but just really in general. They'll need to do that. Problem is, they haven't been able to muster really any kind of offense against whatever Altiora's defensive plan is, and they're going to be going into this map on attack first. This could be the last map of the best of 5, and if it is, Altiora are trying to set like some sort of any percent speed run record for the fastest best of 5 we've ever seen in Siege. It really is that insane.
Now, Jesse, when it comes to theme park on paper, who's the strongest team here? Is this a map where Altiora, they close it out to become #1 in the Canada division?
Yeah, I mean, this is a close map for these two teams. As I said, top of the game, neither team has won this map ever. So if it happens that that Mirage start to pull it back, great for them. They can put it on as a win. For Altiora, I think that this is not going to be one where they're looking to win, but with the way Mirage has been playing, I mean, it's possible. As Jacob said, the meta's all different. We've had a big break between the last time these teams have played and now, so they've had time to cook up strats. The fact that Mirage picked it makes me hopeful, but again, you know, you saw the last two maps.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is it. If Altiora wins this map right here, they will be crowned #1 kings of Canada. So let's see if Mirage can force a comeback. Kicks and Parker, take it away.
Oh, thank you very much, Valley. Much appreciated. This is it for Altiora. Maybe? Michael, do you think we're going to see 2 more maps? What do you think? Right now, with the way we're looking at it, it certainly feels like this is the end of the road.
Yeah, I'm definitely getting last map vibes, but I mean, if there's a team in the Canadian division that's going to bring it back in this situation, I'd say it's probably Mirage. Maybe we'll get a little bit of run back here. I don't see it. Consulate being the band that we could have played on. So Theme Park is the play here. I think that I don't see it. I see Altiora taking this.
I feel like you trying to be positive about Mirage's chances going into this map is like trying to wring blood from a stone because you struggled something fierce.
I'm working off what they give me. I mean, what we're seeing so far is just extreme lethality in the guns of Altiora. Mirage are trying to use their brains to work out this problem, and they've even managed to do that in a few rounds. That one defense on Clubhouse, the only round that Mirage managed, that was really smart thinking for them to hunker down extremely hard and play super passive, lean heavily into one thought process. It worked. But that's it. That's all they've gotten. And, I don't see it, Parker.
I wish it had been Mirage banning Ace because there would have been something ironic given the fact that Altiora has now had 3 aces, but no, it was Altiora who banned Ace. So maybe they're just not allowed. Maybe they want more of a team effort this time around. Thatcher will go by the wayside as well. He's in Rainbow Six jail for the remainder of this map. As we'll look at who gets banned on defense. You were critical of the Wamai bans that we've seen on both maps so far. Maestro was gone last game. Valkyrie gone before. Valkyrie will be picked out by Mirage, leaving Wamai to possibly be banned out now by Altiora. What do you think of the Ace and Thatcher ban on a map like Theme Park with Hibana's changes and Maverick still on the board? Do you think that those will make any significant difference with the way that the attackers are able to pressure the defense?
Yes, on this map, it's not really that much about the drops. There is one extremely relevant drop. That is the one above Split, that for thrown defense. And apart from that, there's the roof drops, but those aren't reinforced. So the Hibana is definitely a factor here, and she's going to be able to open up little holes in a lot of, significant walls. But I'd say Thermite, Maverick are much more relevant given these bans. The Ace Thatcher ban is going to be significant on this map. Yes, there are many walls that, would ideally have a Thatcher to get through. But we're here now. The bans are done, and there are ways to get around things like Mute Jammers, Kaid Electroclaws on the majority of walls you're going to want to open up on this map. Interestingly, we're going to have Armory as the first site to defend here. This site has fallen out of favor for some teams, but not for all. And again, keep in mind, new meta, everything's different. So we're just going to have to go in with, fresh eyes.
It'll be interesting to watch. Throne and Armory was known as one of the most defender-sided bomb sites among a lot of teams and most of the regions when Theme Park's rework got put into the map pool. A lot of that was Goyo, and this is something that we actually got to talk to Citizen about in a post-match interview in which he talked about the prevalence and strength of Goyo back when he had all 3 of the shields in the TCSG was a mighty fierce weapon. It is obviously not anymore. It has seen a bit of down tuning. Now the Vector is often used more than we see the TCSG. But man, oh man, this was a real struggle for most attacking teams. They've lost Ace, they've lost Thatcher, and Mirage is going to have a lineup that looks very similar to what we always see out of them. Though Zilchi is going to be flexing off of the Nomad Jackal, and 3 hard breachers are going to be brought in Maverick, Hibana, and Thermite. This will be interesting to watch.
Cafe Clear is safe because you have the balcony to give you at least a level and even engagement when you're fighting the defenders in Top Arcade and Cafe Hall. So for that, it's good for the attack. But there are a lot of crossfires you're going to enter into, and that's why you see so many drones. They want to know, Mirage, what they're dealing with. Loading, good cutoff there. He'll get one, but not the second. That's great refrag by Sonar, playing inside of storage. And he's going to probably fall off shortly here. And having lost the Maverick, Mirage will be forced to open up above the mute jammers on the site. They won't be able to just make a little hole and shoot them through the wall anymore. So this is going to be a change in strategy, but Quartz is compensating by taking out Penguin. That's a good frag. The other roamer trying to assist on this northwest hold. Sonar now isolated, droned out, and he'll have to fight his way out of this situation.
There's a couple warning shots from above as the Nitro Cell does not do anywhere near enough damage, at least as much as he wanted, because guess what? It did 0 points of damage. Sonar, just a absolute calamity. So many mistakes in front of our very eyes, and he's punished once again by Quartz. A much better start to Theme Park for Mirage than either Cafe or Clubhouse. Now, this is just one round, so we don't want to get too ahead of ourselves, but if they can play with this enough moxie, and if they can continue to play with this level of confidence, then that'll bode well for Mirage for the remainder of Theme Park, especially given that they started on attack. And yes, losing Maverick is a pretty damning blow, but they seem to have recovered quite well. And even though Silent is low on HP, he can still frag if need be. So there's nothing that I really see with Mirage that worries me at the moment.
It's going to be a nice kill onto Eska too, so the worries are definitely not going to be entering in here. Mirage finish up the round nice and clean. The roam clear working out fantastically for Mirage. And the execution into the site, easy as pie after they got that wall open. Not a whole lot of answer back there from Altiora. We saw maybe some possible comebacks when Penguin got the kill in storage, but no, not Penguin actually. Pardon me. I think it was because Penguin was playing on Mozzie, right? And he just shifted off to mute. He shifted off to mute just now.
Don't look to me for help. You got yourself into this mess. You got to get out of it.
Okay. Well, whoever it was, the mute getting the pick when they were playing inside of storage was great. But then after that, Penguin immediately gets refragged. So that's probably, that's a pretty key concern because it was an answer back already, and it gets worse with time. It was Sonar. There you go. Thanks, scoreboard. Fist bump.
You're welcome.
Better than my co-caster. Anyway, so it'll be a shift in sites here. We're going to daycare now for Altiora, and they will do the standard extension. The Armory defense, like I said, I don't know. I think that, personally, Armory has been falling out of favor for a long time. It's been on the downturn in my eyes. And yeah, it was for the longest time the site on this map, but I think that time has passed. And that last round, to me, is a perfect example as to why. It is kind of easy to isolate the roam and then execute in through yellow, especially with the way that Mirage did it. So props to them for a good execution.
This is the very first lead that Mirage has had, by the way, in this entire series. We started this matchup about an hour and a half ago, if my calculations are correct, maybe about 2 hours ago, somewhere in that window. And they're, like we've said many times, and we might be a broken record, but there hasn't been a lot of good for Mirage. Now that round, obviously, is a little bit different. There was quite a bit of good. And I don't want people to get their hopes up because, I mean, there's still plenty of game to play, but if Mirage can put a couple more efforts like that together, in which they seem to be well coordinated, and more importantly, they knew their way around the map, then they might actually be able to grow this lead that they have in front of them. But they'll have to duel against Spirits, who's holed up inside of Cafe. He'll get flashed. One's prone on the ground. He gets shot by an elbow. Unlucky on his part. This should be an easy finish, but Penguin's there for backup. He's got the SMG-11 in hand. He needs to time this well. There goes a C4. It'll grab Zilchi, and it manages to scare off Silent. Loading taking some damage now, and he'll go for the drone on in as Spirits gets brought back to life. A situation that was very bad for Altiora. It was a tricky one, but they're able to make their way out of it, and they do so with a lot of grace.
Spirits now prone, trying to give Mirage a taste of their own medicine. Person who downed him, Zilchi, is already dead, so he can't exactly reciprocate in that way. But Sonar will take down Flynn, and a second for Sonar. Spirits gets one, a third for Sonar. Was that all in the same mag? In the span of 2 seconds, he takes down 3 players with this gun, seemingly in the main lobby. and on the staircase, or actually lower arcade, technically, I guess is that call. Well done there to Sonar. Nice hold. He's making the SMG-11 work a lot more than some other players are capable of. And
I had almost no faith in him, by the way, when he went into Cafe with the SMG-11 out. I'm like, look, you're going up against an Ash. There's no way you're going to be making it out of this altercation alive. What was it? It was Hibana and Ash that were both watching that angle.
Right.
You're doomed. You're doomed. He was not doomed. I was wrong. So, well, I mean, they go to another bomb site. They win. So they're going to roll the die on Throne Armory again. And if we go back to round number 1, it wasn't that long ago. People who don't have short memories will remember it quite well. Mirage were efficient on their entry. They picked off 2 separate players from Altiora who were isolated enough that got into gunfights where there was no refrag and no tradability. Because of this, you find yourself down numbers, and then you have to hold off. Now, I mean that the bomb site will work in your favor more often than not, but still, you're going up against 3 hard breachers. There's lots of insurance here for Mirage if they lose somebody, and even though they lost loading first, they were still able to crack open the bomb site. They still had plenty of soft destruction as well that they could use and leverage above for a couple more picks into the bomb site. And then finally, when the back wall got opened up by main stairs, everything was for the taking for Mirage, and Altiora just cannot play out of a relatively large empty bomb site where you can really only play behind the throne as cover. Now, my guess is that Altiora is going to be playing a little bit more sheltered on their roam. I don't expect to see them so far flung, and they are almost certainly not going to be doing that all on their own. Just as we saw in the previous round where 2 players from Altiora were watching Cafe, I expect the same thing to happen when it comes to this throne defense. And that's because we know Altiora's guns have been hitting their mark all day. If you stack up and you ensure that the worst that's happening to you is a trade, I think that bodes well down the stretch for Altiora.
Spirits playing the 1-tap angle there on the pixel. Silent not going to fall for it. He'll drone himself in. Slow clear here on the west side of the top floor. We're back to that throne defense here for Altiora. Their roam, though, has, I guess, re-emphasized. It's not only going to be a roam down by storage as per normal on this map, but a double up roam above. We've seen a lot of teams roam above, then rotate to storage. Not so here. Altiora, they really don't want anyone to be clearing out the roam wherever the clear comes from. And that's their main focus. There goes Penguin, though. It's the second time he dies on the roam without getting any work done. And Sonar will get the C4 back onto Silent as Spirits retreats off the top floor through the drop. He'll be given a avenue back into the site. Get home safely. Altiora, no man advantage, but they're killing a lot of time here, and they've managed to do more damage than they've received overall, with Quartz worse for wear.
So I was wrong about how they were going to be supporting each other. Very similar situation that Silent and Quartz found themselves in. It was Silent who was down on low HP with loading dead. Now it's Silent dead with Quartz down on low HP. So this is a repeat of what we saw earlier on. And Sonar is so distracted by this drone that, well, it doesn't take a lot of time for the forces of Mirage to be assembled over in that general area. Loading is the one that's on the hunt. He finds his target. Down goes Sonar. Altiora trails. Mirage have opened this round up the same way that they did in round number 1. And the mistakes that were committed by Altiora do not really seem to be changing. They are the same, repeated over and over again. This is not where you want to be. Now, obviously, a couple gunfights can completely swing the course of this round. You've got Quartz from above. You're going to have a Nitro cell in hand for Euphoria. That will need to hit its mark. And Euphoria, who is somebody who hasn't been particularly proficient when it comes to getting kills, will need to shoulder more of the weight now because they do trail. Warming up for some action with 20 seconds left. Altiora don't need to move an inch. And they've got their eyes on the locations where they feel like Mirage is going to push from. But Spirits will be shadow boxing an invisible foe. As one rotates over, Zilchi finds the kill. Loading looks for one of his own. Spirits will have to retreat. He's last alive. Inside of Connector, waiting as Flynn goes for the plant. Zilchi and Quartz will just watch for coverage. And Quartz is the one who ends the suffering of Altiora. Much more confidence from Mirage allows them to snatch 2 rounds so far here on Theme Park. And this is their best performance of the day.
This has been pretty solid here for Mirage, that's for sure. They're seemingly much more comfortable on Theme Park, so maybe when we count them out, that's when Mirage shows up. It's only 2 rounds, mind you, so early days, and both of those attacks came on Armory. The simple answer for Altiora is to just not go to Armory again, and I think that they'll probably catch on to that one after those 2 failures on that site. It's been the same strategy for Mirage in general. Clear out the roamers on that site and then just open up the yellow wall. Frags will come. It's not even, they don't even have to try, seemingly. So, well done to Mirage. Altiora already changing things up. They choose a different bomb site. I'm guessing they probably won't go back to Armory anytime soon. Maybe they will. But all of the other sites on this map are viable. So if Altiora has the strategies to defend the other sites, their best bet is probably to lean into that.
Enjoying what we're seeing out of the flexibility from Altiora's lineup. I mean, Mirage have been bogged down in the meta with their attacking composition. Nothing is going to change unless they dramatically need to blow this up. I expect to see basically the same lineup brought out consistently. As for the defense, because of the changes that we saw, and we're going to harp on them. And once again, broken record, apologies. Valk and Wamai, comfort bans right now. I know that you're critical of the Wamai ban. I think Valkyrie's a smart ban. Regardless, Altiora really likes to bring out a wide variety of operators. They're going to add another one to the list, which is Euphoria, playing on the dock. So you're going to have some longer range gunplay, but not actually quite that long. It's Rook who actually has the longer optic, or the farther optic. How would you call that as somebody who doesn't speak? I don't speak.
The higher
gun.
magnification. Higher magnification.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
But you could
Thank
say
you, Michael.
Higher mag, to be simple.
There's the opening pick, by the way. It's in favor of Penguin, and Altiora managed to take out Silent. Silent once again, an early grave now, 2 rounds in a row. Not where you want to be for Ash, who is almost comically more of a support operator than she used to be. Now, she doesn't have flashes anymore, but still, your Ash is not usually the first operator that you want to lose. There's really nobody on Mirage's lineup that you are comfortable discarding early. They're all just as important as one another. There go both pieces of soft destruction, though, as Quartz will join Silent on the bench, leaving the hard-breaching trio of Mirage to try and win this round over. This has been a back-and-forth contest right now, with Throne being very challenging to defend for Altiora, but outside of that, they've had a pretty good track record. It's half the round expended with nothing being given up by Altiora, not a single point of damage that's been done to them, whereas Mirage trail by 2.
For the record, I think technically it's greater magnification, but, you know, like, it just gets simplified to higher more often than not. You get really, I mean, everyone understands what you mean when you say it either way. Anyway, I'm just getting into the, I don't know, the minutia. It doesn't matter. Spirits will land a lot of shots onto Flynn, or well, actually maybe just one. Damage done, though. Significant from that carbine. Stun goes out to try and disorient Spirits and deny him another peek, I believe, or maybe just check for ADS. There's nobody to follow up on that right now, though. Loading does have nades, but he's not in a position to assist his teammate. You can see the call is happening. Now, there is 50 seconds here. So there's time for the rotation here from Loading. Missed shot there from Flynn. That's actually really unfortunate. And as Spirits continues to swing, the nades have finally made their way into a position to be thrown. Spirits takes a lot of damage there on that peak, and here comes nade number 1, and it does force out the kill. That's great from Loading. Only took 20 seconds, but as Flynn goes down, that 1 kill doesn't seem like a whole lot. Zilchi and Loading have to find 4 in very little time, and they're being flanked all the while. Loading goes down, and Zilchi's somewhere else entirely. Challenging top dragon, he'll lose it out to Penguin, and Altiora pick up a very confident defense.
These rounds have been so decisive, but also back and forth. The times that the teams win, it doesn't really come down to the wire. It's a victory, a full-out victory, no real hesitation from either of these teams, and we don't really have to guess as to, okay, well, 1 kill goes one way, maybe the round swings in Mirage's favor. No, these are as decisive as they come. And right now, Throne Armory is a massive weakness when it comes to this Altiora team. Now, the good news is that if they really want to, they can avoid going to that bomb site for the next 2 rounds. They're going to go back to bunk and daycare on the top floor. You like the second floor, it seemed to work out quite well for them. They have lab available as well, should they want it. Avoid Throne, avoid Armory. Clearly, it matches up very well with the lineup that you see from Mirage. The 3 hard breachers, as well as the soft destruction from above, means that if you cannot successfully roam, which so far, the roam play from Altiora on that Throne Armory bomb site has been substandard. If you cannot successfully roam on that bomb site, you are sitting ducks, and that is exactly what we have seen through those 2 rounds for Altiora. I like this decision to not go back to it. I don't think we're going to see it for round number 6, but it depends on how confident they are with Lab down below.
Yeah, I think Lab is a really good site, but it's also probably the most elaborate site in terms of the strategy that you bring there. It does take a good amount of practice for most teams to get a Lab defense set up properly. So, yeah, I mean, if Altiora wins here, it's the decision between that Throne and Lab. And if Altiora has a strategy for Lab, I can quite confidently recommend wholeheartedly that they go there, because the Throne defense is just not working for Altiora. So we'll find out when we find out. Here and now, there's no guarantee that Altiora is even going to win this hold. It's a little bit of an odd setup. I like the mirror windows. I like the hold in Cafe. Only 1 ADS for that shield, so Spirit's got to be careful. After the ADS is cleared, a nade might actually bypass the shield and go straight to him. He's known to be playing farther back in Cafe behind the countertop. He'll take a little bit of damage. Ash Charge gets rid of the shield, so that makes his situation a little bit more difficult. His ADS will regen at some point, but if nades are rotated for him, dangerous spot. Luckily, he's got the rotate on the balcony, but he's losing too much HP to confidently utilize it. He'll die to a single bullet from any of these attackers at this point.
Swinger be swung, he says, as he feels he's getting droned. One gets tossed in, but he manages to take it out, losing all of his protection. He's wasted a lot of time, and he can actually get away. Look at that. A belated rotate created on the catwalk behind him, but he still will persist trying to take the head off of Zilchi, unable to land his shots. Spirits, at the moment, just showing incredible confidence in his own abilities. It's Penguin's turn to focus on the door into Cafe, as Spirits still very low. Sonar takes a tiny portion of damage, and it looks like Mirage, after a minute and a half, have wrestled Cafe control away from the defense. They can continue to take ground as much as they want. Yash will look to swing. What a flick from Penguin as he spray transfers over and absolutely beheads Silent. It allows the Hibana to get away before Penguin finds a second. Quartz charges up, 2 kills for him. He's on the flank. With Flynn there, they'll need to do more work as it's just the 2 of them against 3 members of Altiora. Loading has been felled. Flynn at full HP. Flynn gone. Quartz, 35 HP. That's all that stands between him and the very first lead of Altiora in this match. Or this map, I should say. He's near the bomb site. Doesn't have that diffuser. He'll need to go pick it up. It's going to be watched over by Arcade, but he's going to go frag chasing instead. 40 seconds, 3 targets. That's your goal. You can see Altiora. Well, they're going to play keep away. Continue to retreat. There's a black mirror there. It's going to look at you very longingly. Information on Quartz as he just toils, wastes time. Maybe there's going to be some discussion being had in the background. Who knows? But this is an almost unwinnable position for Quartz to be in. Dire Straits. 15 seconds remaining. Nitro Cell unsheathed, but it gets put away, and Penguin picks up kill number 3 on the round. Altiora, after starting off trailing to Mirage, they've got their first lead of this map.
That's a big win there for the defense, and Daycare looking like a solid site for Altiora. They're going to be able to go back there for the half, as you said, Parker. And they're going to have to choose a different site between Armory and Lab. But you know what you guys can choose? A lot of different skins. Your options are varied. You can check them out in the esports tab. There are awesome options available, especially right now with the Battle Pass just coming out. And remember, you know, when you're paying into the esports skins, whether they be in the Battle Pass or elsewhere, just the direct esports skins like this Kaid one, the 6 major set, it's directly supporting Rainbow Six Esports. So if you're watching right now and you like what you see and you want to be somebody who, you know, puts some monetary, support down, then that's your way of doing that. Go ahead and check it out. Altiora will go back to Throne. So they have chosen 3rd time's the charm. We'll see if that's accurate.
I don't know how I feel about this, if I'm being honest with you. I mean, clearly they know something that we don't. There is nothing that we have seen over the 2 defenses of Throne Armory that has led me to believe that Altiora can fix these issues and make this site work. Now, this would be monumental if they did, because not only would they break the streak of unsuccessful defenses, but they would also, like they did on Clubhouse and like they did on Cafe before, they would take a decisive lead and win the first half, which is huge. But without throwing away all the stats that we have, Theme Park is a map that tends to be quite friendly to the defense. And yet, despite this, it is way too close for comfort for Altiora. Things might have changed because Wamai and Valkyrie removed. Things might have changed because there's been some tweaks to the defense. Jaeger in particular has been nerfed. Who knows? We'll see. We need a lot more playtime on Theme Park before we can make an official judgment call. Still, if this is a defender-sided map, this is too close for comfort for Altiora. And they start off their very final defense on the wrong foot. Spirits is way too aggressive inside of Cash, and he gets punished for it. Picked apart by Quartz, who is warming up. And Quartz has been a standout for Mirage all stage long. This series in particular, he has been just as good as we come to expect. And we need more of that from him in order for Mirage to keep it as close as they have and prevail on this map and potentially even the series.
Mirage has slowed down after that initial pick. Ooh, what a blunder from Silent and one from Penguin. That should have been a kill there. The trade happens elsewhere. Eska gets loading, Flynn onto Sonar. The culprits both escape from that scuffle. Eska, very worse for wear, put down to about 20, 25 HP. Not going to be ideal for his next gunfight. Mirage certainly in control here. And Altiora, I imagine at this point they're thinking, man, we should have practiced lab. Because Throne just isn't the site for Altiora. It starts with the roam every time. Mirage clear out those roamers. They put themselves in control in terms of man count. And then Mirage turns it into a round win. It hasn't happened yet. There's still a chance for Altiora, but it's certainly seeming like this is going to be the third time in a row on the site for Mirage.
It's Groundhog Day, is what it is. This plays out exactly the same. Loading got picked off. Before that, it was Silent, but Mirage has made the one change on the Zofia onto the Ashe. Everything else is basically the same. You're still going to rely on the same cast and characters here. And Eska landing his shots, well, that's a difference maker because Flynn is not going to be able to do as much damage with that exothermic charge, but Eska's going to run headfirst into the Hibana of Zilchi, and Eska wins it somehow. That one is confounding, and I would imagine that Mirage will be fuming after that one. It gives Altiora a numbers advantage, as Eska is still the man being watched by Silent, because Quartz is gone, so Silent will need to clutch this round. Certainly seems like Altiora is going to walk away with this first half, but there's the very first kill. 10 seconds to go. You'll need to transition to Penguin and Euphoria. They just need to hide. Silent's got too many targets to look out for. He'll get in to go for the plant, but Penguin finishes him off. It's a mercy killing. Altiora takes the first half, 4-2.
That's huge. That's really huge. We were looking at an even split on defense. Altiora managed to, well, prove us wrong. You and I were both critical of the site selection there from Altiora, and I think that was fair critique, especially given the early frags going the way of Mirage. But they let it slip. I think you used the word confounding. Was that the correct? Am I right?
Yeah, it was correct. That was...
Yeah, and it was the right word. Definitely the right word. I mean, the wall's open. The advantage is still there. It feels like Mirage is going to be able to take the round, just turn it into the 3-3 split. And that's confident. That's solid. 3-3 on attack, a theme park. All right. Yeah, let's go Mirage. Some signs of life. And then no. Third time was indeed the charm for Altiora. 4-2. We transition to the second half. We'll see what Altiora can do on attack. And based on...
Michael, the answer to what Altiora can do on the second half is get a massive handout here from Quartz sustaining an awful lot of damage from Zilchi.
I was gonna say, based on that, it seems like Altiora will probably take round number 1. We'll see, though. I mean, it's not...
Michael is round number 7.
Well, round number 1 of the second half. Sorry, I'm never
round number 7, Michael.
Never clear enough on that. Yeah, Yes, round number 7 or round number 1 in the second half.
You're
Either
never
way.
going to repeat as Esports Awards color commentator of the year with those kind of mistakes, Michael.
My bad, Parker.
They're going to give it to somebody else now.
You're gonna be on the panel next year, and you're gonna be like, actually, Michael, one time.
I actually have recorded every single time he has ever misspoke. How much time do we have? Yes, it will take roughly 4.5 hours.
Oh no!
Because I have also brought evidence. Load the clips. You can see here, Michael time-stamped at 1 hour and 14 minutes. No.
So
I feel like there has been enough time passed since we last casted that just I'm back up on the saddle. There's gonna be some rust that you got to knock off. So.
It's been a while. I feel like I missed casting so much. We haven't even. It's been like a month maybe, and it was like a dry spell. Like we were stuck in the desert. It's good to be back. I mean, there's
a lot to unpack about what you just said. We'll get to it later.
All right. Well, yeah, we'll get to it later. We're not doing phrasing right now, okay, Parker?
Certainly not. 1 minute into the very first defense for Mirage, and Quartz is a bullet away from death, and he's going to get extremely aggressive, just as we saw it of a couple of the Altiora members do this on defense as well. And if Quartz doesn't get droned out here, well, he might actually be in a great place to strike. Problem is that, like we said, 1 bullet and he's as good as gone. He's got to look forward too, as he's going to hold pat for now. He's got backup from loading, and loading gets the very first kill of the round. It's on to Spirits. This Malusi also has the ability to drop as there's a hatch opened up, but he doesn't. He's not going to overstay his welcome either, as loading picks off sonar. So far, Altiora not very good on their entry, and now the ACOG obscuring the sightlines for Esco, which allows a prone Quartz to take full advantage of it. Pistol out, and he loses the fight to Penguin. Still, Altiora have so much work to do to be able to get back in this round. Everything breaking in favor of Mirage so far on their first defense.
Here comes the nade from Penguin. Silent dodges in the nick of time. He must have heard the pin pulled. The Mirage maintain their advantage just by waiting this out. There's no more nades in the hands of Penguin, so he's not going to be able to leverage that for a kill. His opportunity has slipped away. Hole opened up. Shots missed. Unfortunate there. His position is well known. And Evil Eye will start zapping away, but it's lost. It doesn't matter, though, as Zilchi just wins the fight. That's a pretty easy one for him. Just, find the hole and shoot through it. Euphoria now in a 1v4, and it's not going to happen in all likelihood. He'll have to push through a uncomfortable bottleneck no matter where he chooses to take the fight. In this case, he's confronted with a shield on his left, footholes on his right. Sees a shoulder, doesn't land the shot. Sorry, excuse me. Another blunder from me. An elbow, not a shoulder. Gas canister to delay, and he'll have to relocate, pushing over to split, but that's not going to afford him any real options, at least no more than Dragon Door. It doesn't seem like he's known, but it doesn't matter. The end of the round comes from the clock, and Mirage will take their armory defense.
Those are, once again, not happy faces, and we don't want to read too much into it, believe you me, but neither of those gentlemen, Flynn on the left and Loading on the right, neither of them look particularly happy with where their team is at right now, because they know that they are fighting uphill. Even if they prevail on Theme Park, they've got Villa up next. For those that have good memories, you'll recall the last time that Altiora and Mirage tussled on Villa, it broke in favor of Altiora 7-1. An absolute walloping. So Mirage, probably not very excited to go back to that map. Oregon broke in Mirage's favor the last time these two teams met 7-4. It's map 5 if needed, and it would be the map that is required for the reverse sweep should Mirage win both this map and then Villa. But let's not get ahead of ourselves here, because there's still a lot of Theme Park to play, and this one is a nail biter. Mirage obviously moving on to defense. We've talked at length about how this does tend to be a more defender-sided map, and how Throne in particular is a very defender-favored bomb site. Don't tell that to the first two defenses that Altiora had on it, because ultimately they were completely unsuccessful. Mirage looked like a very good team on Throne Armory, and in fact, the 4 times that that bomb site's been played so far today, Mirage has prevailed 3 of those 4 times. No matter what happens, Throne will show up one more time, because even if Mirage loses the next 2 rounds, there will still be 1 remaining, which would be Altiora on match point. So expect Throne Armory to at least prolong this a second time. But upstairs to the east side of the map, not directly over Armory, but pretty close to, which is that office initiation area that we know that was where the train corridor used to be on the old theme park. That's where Mirage will go for their second defense.
So going into this third map of the best of 5 we're playing right now, I think all of us were, and by all of us I mean the talents here, were assuming this would be the end and life would move on. Mirage, though, has proven themselves much more capable on Theme Park than many of these other maps. That's interesting. That drone hasn't been spotted out by Silent. You can see that Eska's not moving the drone deliberately, so it doesn't make noise. So they can continue to call out Silent's exact location. Sonar will drone out, but they already know exactly where this player is. In fact, he's sitting on the drone. That call has got to be made, and Altiora has got to capitalize, but Quartz is there holding things up. Silent takes a lot of damage there as he rotates to the catwalk, and he'll make it out of his precarious situation with his gun still up and his life still in his hands. But again, the damage is done. Sonar eats a little bit of damage as well as he enters into Cafe. You can see the Prismas marking him actually in Cafe, giving a lot of information to the defense. Our top arcade control here, well in hand for the attack. Spirits uses a stun. No one on the catwalk, so he can push up under the drone. That's a late reinforcement there for Mirage. They cut off the rotation, they get back into sight, and they start playing the time. The shots there from Silence secondary gave away his position, and that'll be called out, but he'll fall all the way back, nice and safe to the site. Sorry.
This is one of the rare rounds here, Michael, where nobody has died early, despite there being a couple skirmishes.
Yeah.
And it's going to allow maximum utility to be used, too. I don't know if there's a team that is necessarily better prepared right now, but given everything that's available for Altiora, I haven't really seen any misused utility.
What?
That's a great read from Quartz, by the way, on the Penguin. A hell of a shot with a minute left, and Quartz taking advantage of what I'm assuming was a Z-ping. Well, that's Diffuser down. That's also a Maverick off of the board. That could be a damning death for Altiora in the final stretch of this round.
Especially if they're not able to open up that wall. Not many Skyros left, and there they go. Loading on the catwalk will get the kill. We have 2 catwalks, I realize now. I'll have to figure that out. There goes the kill onto Loading, though, as he has not repositioned. Euphoria will get him. Flynn onto Eska. It's a back and forth here, but Mirage has found themselves well in control of it. Euphoria has to find 4. Once again, this seems to be happening a lot to the man. He's challenging the plethora of angles in the site, and he'll lose the first one to Quartz. A well-placed shot. Mirage continue their defensive streak. Put it up 2-0.
Well, 2 rounds on defense and everything works. The question will be, where do they go next? They're going to go to bunk, daycare upstairs. They're going to go down to lab below. Most teams will roll with bunk and stay on those 2 top floor bomb sites, but crazier things have happened, and I feel like this is the moment where they pick lab and make me look stupid.
I said lab's a good site, man. It's just it takes a lot of practice.
Yeah, but Michael, I was saying how a lot of teams like bunk, and then they say nope.
Right.
Nope.
I mean, you're right about that, though. A lot of
we're
teams
gonna go down to the lab.
A lot of teams do like bunk. So
they do. They get all cozy, all tucked in. But instead, they're gonna go down to lab. No longer drug lab. We don't know what the lab does.
It's just powdered sugar.
It could be one of those science experiment labs. Maybe you just with Bunsen burners.
Synthetic powdered sugar. That's what that is.
Correct.
Yeah.
Lots of stevia. It could not be anything else.
Right. And they don't brand these bags because this is the research and development lab, not their...
This is the generic stevia production plant.
Right. Yes. Store brand. Exactly. So...
Also, Michael, even though Rainbow Six exists in a fictional universe, they are still refusing to be pro-corporate capitalist cogs, which is why they do not adhere to brand standards, which is why we do not see any relevant branding with said stevia / synthetic sugars.
Right. That's what it is.
That's K Comrades in the chat, by the way. Anyway. We'll get into lab. After they make me look foolish, they just blow off steam.
Yeah. As I was going to say, this site, the way that we're seeing Mirage set up right now, this is your standard lab defense these days. The one deviation from the norm is that there's no no rotation made on elbow. You can see by the A site, the hallway there, that's elbow. Usually there's a rotation made by the defense so that the roamers, when they leave throne and their extension over by lockers and such so on, they can come back to site. This time, Mirage is going to open up some holes, but not rotation holes. Just line of sight so they can retake their site later on if need be. So they've got a plan. It's just a little slightly different than the norm. And yeah, this could definitely work.
Well, first pick goes in favor of Altiora, but Quartz has been just so good. He's got a dozen kills and 1 HP to his name as he tries to peek out of the vault, and there will be a Maverick watching. This will be a gunfight between him and Penguin. 2 hot hands, but no, it's Euphoria to come to the rescue instead. Meanwhile, Penguin gets softened up. So Euphoria, maybe he got out of there a little bit too early. Still, the numbers break in favor of Altiora, with spirits being removed from play, but Quartz and Loading are probably, well, better targets. They tend to be very good for their team, and you can see they're topping the scoreboard for Mirage. Not only do you lose their gadgetry, which is really only relevant for the Vigil, there's probably a Nitro Cell there for Loading, and that's about it, but you've also got the 2 hot hands from Mirage sitting things out. Flynn will try to keep things intact for his team. He's off the smoke roll, playing on the mute. He's also going to have a Nitro Cell, but there's so many angles that he needs to watch. An act of desperation from down below as the SMG-11 can't do it, neither can the shotgun. Zilchi can, though, the UMP, as he avenges his teammate onto an entirely separate target of Penguin. Back to a 2v2. So all of this action has occurred, and these teams walk away from it equally scathed. Euphoria and Sonar versus Zilchi and Silent, with still a minute left. Now, if you look at Euphoria, he's got 3 flashbangs. Sonar, all of his ex-Kairos, 3 flashbangs. They've isolated the Melusi inside of barrels, and Sonar will go swinging for the fences here. Nitro Cell goes out. It'll claim the Hibana, leaving Euphoria in a 1v2. Not sure where the target prioritization is here. Gunshots to his left. He sees the pulse playing from above, misses his opportunity. Fearing a push from the Melusi, he looks to the right. Instead, he'll look back to the left. He sees the heads, but he can't connect. Wasting time now, 20 seconds as he looks to rush in. There goes the flashbang. The Melusi twists around the barrels. Euphoria wins that one. The pulse will now need to snap onto him, but it'll be a game of keep away. And the push from the Nomad will be given away as well by the Banshee that's on the ground. Zilchi going for a flank. Euphoria doesn't have any gadgetry left. He doesn't have the diffuser either. Zilchi will just continue to creep away, and with 3 seconds left, that'll be all she wrote. No! Just as I say that, Zilchi's a little bit too slow, and the freest kill of Euphoria's life somehow gives the round to Altiora. That should have been Mirage's. My God. Euphoria regains the lead for his team.
Oh no, Zilchi! I mean, great clutch to Euphoria. Really well done. Well, yeah, that was fantastic. Here you go, you get some claps. Yeah. Props to Euphoria. There is no world where Zilchi should have lost that.
Yeah, that was...
and yet we're in that world. Yeah.
Astounding. An astounding round. And those are, and if I may borrow the phrase here, those are stupid little mistakes that will kill your team. And it will kill your momentum. And I mean, we already saw the look on the faces of Loading and Flynn. They are relieved that they are hanging in there. They are not enthused. There was no hype present from their last round victory. And now you gotta feel a little bit deflated after what happens with Zilchi and what is a very easy game of keep away. You just need to continue to hide. You are in such an exposed position playing by 90. That is not where you want to be, just by the doorway to split. Yeah, that's a tough end to the round for Mirage, and it's a bitter pill to swallow because that should have very easily been theirs.
You know, and
instead, Altiora take it.
And let's try to analyze that objectively too. Like, instead of just, I mean, like, yeah, Zilchi, whoops, but also, how did we get to that whoops, and why? The stuns in the site. This is the key thing for me. The stuns that we saw Euphoria throwing into the site to try and, you know, quickly clear out all the corners, all the nooks and crannies. Those really easily should have given away Euphoria's positioning. They should have been like a clear sign that, hey, Zilchi, he's chasing you into the site. So how did that cue go unheeded is my main question. And I can't know because I'm not in Zilchi's shoes, but that's the why. That's the key I guess the crux of the situation. So I don't know. Roaming now top floor, lab defense. Mirage are trying to bounce back from that mistake.
It's a do or die round, I feel like, for Mirage here, because I don't know if they have mentally what it takes to get back in this if this round does not go in their favor. They still have Throne Armor. We talked about this. No matter what happens, Throne Armory will show up yet again. And instead, the one round that bomb site has opened, it will be another lab defense. Now, clearly that last round was a bit of a fluke win by Altiora. Mirage, I would argue, was the better team through the whole round.
Yeah.
And they lost at the last second. And right now, it certainly seems like they knew what they were doing, and they made the right call here, as they might have lost loading, but Spirits drops, Penguin's kill, or Penguin is downed, and he'll need to be secured, but Euphoria will be able to get him back up, as now Altiora find themselves back at a 4v4, but this was starting out very well for Mirage here in this round. So clearly this is a comfortable bomb site. Throne Armory could very well be, if Altiora wins this round, where Mirage has to defend this entire series. Obviously, don't want to get too ahead of ourselves, because things can go from bad to worse for Altiora very quickly, and Mirage are nestled well inside of the bomb site. They are losing some of that security, as there goes the ceiling above them. Eska in great position. He'll continue to watch with the L85 in hand. You look over on the right side of your screen, there's still a grenade left as well for Eska to drop down on the heads of somebody from Mirage like an anvil. Mute C4 from Flynn goes up, waiting to see if it'll be timed correctly. No targets there whatsoever. Sonar and Penguin are both very low, so if they get hit by even the smallest bit of shrapnel, they're as good as dead. 30 seconds left, there goes Silent. So even with that little bit of HP, Sonar can still frag. He gets dropped, but there's a nade from Penguin. It finds its target too. Zilchi may have made a blunder before, but he's trying to make up for it. He finishes off Penguin. Sonar down means that it's a 2v2. Zilchi can't make it out of lab. Euphoria tags him and finishes him off. Casters can't play, so they'll need to clutch, and he won't be able to do that. It's series point, championship point for Altiora. They're one round away from being the Kings of the North.
And you can see they're hyped up about it too. It's looking like they're about to lock this one out. That clutch from Euphoria really gave Altiora that little extra bit of steam that they needed to lock this one down. And, well, they carry it forward. I agree with you, Parker. Your assessment in the middle of that round was that it was make or break for Mirage. And I think you hit the nail on the head, as we like to say. I think that was the final round for this match. Really, truly. Not where it technically ends, but where the break happens. So we'll see if Mirage can put a splint on it, but I'm not very hopeful. They'll be going to daycare here with the Mira as well. This is going to be a solid site. I think much better than Lab in general. Even though I liked Mirage's setup on Lab, this is just objectively a better site.
Do or die. And Michael, again, Throne Armory being neglected. Statistically, the best bomb site so far for Mirage, and they don't want to go to it.
Yeah, that is a little bit weird. In the zooming into this match, that is weird. I could see it in like the trend lines maybe overall, and I think that Throne is going to start falling out of favor. But here now, I think they easily Throne is the site to go to for Mirage, but they chose daycare.
It's an interesting one for sure. And these are one of those decisions where you'll look back on it and you'll think to yourself, was that a mistake? Should we have gone back down to Throne Armory? I mean,
yeah,
it worked. You could have gone across the hall. That bomb site is open. Instead, Mirage are going to go to a bomb site they haven't defended yet with the map on the line. That is just a very questionable choice for me. Maybe they don't feel confident on any of the bomb sites and they figure, well, we might as well throw something at the wall and see if this sticks. If it works, we can go back and make a gamble on one of those bomb sites to push to overtime. Who knows? It could be strategically, it could be a good idea, but I think it's very, very risky. And I'm not sure how good I would feel if I was Mirage. Altiora making quick work of their entry now as we look towards the actual bit of action, but that is a massive mistake. Penguin blows himself up with his own frag grenade, and with that, Mirage has an advantage. That is killer.
Man, if I were in comms right now, I'd be like, nice pick, Quartz. Nice pick. You gotta love those. You gotta love those. So Mirage is probably going to be instilled with a little bit of confidence after something like that. It's more than just a kill. An early kill is great. It does make you feel good about your teammates. It's fantastic. But when your enemy makes a blunder like that, somehow even more confidence instilling. And I think that Mirage are going to play off of it well. We'll see. Nice support there from Silent. He's trying to bait for someone he knows to be below. Mirage is clearly aware the clear downstairs has happened. Silent is shooting on the... Oh, nice kill there for loading. As Spirits walks into Split, he will walk into his undoing. Eska takes a little bit of damage to the wall as well. Nice pre-fire through that wall from loading. And as Silent also gets sonar, everything's falling apart for Altiora. There is a mirror window to contest. Euphoria is not going to be able to play this angle very easily. Eska trying to walk up yellow, but it's just not going to happen. Flynn shuts him down. This is looking like it might be a flawless round. But a little bit of tempting fate going on there from Silent. Missed shot, but not the second one. Euphoria lands 2 big kills. That's really impressive. The head is his playground, it seems, as he is inside of Mirage's. He's still got enough HP to clutch this. The Jaeger, though, in a great position. That's Quartz behind the toy train. Be able to peek off his teammate's Q. Here it comes. And it's Quartz to finish things off. Mirage, very confident round.
That one was all but certain. You've got a shotgun holding your tight angle. You've got the alibi position at the top of the stair watching, and loading is not going to miss that shot. And then you got Quartz as well, waiting, watching the doorway to Cafe. You're not fighting yourself out of that position. I don't care how good you are. And Euphoria has been playing a lot better on Theme Park than we've seen out of him on a couple of the maps previously. And he's coming alive at the right time. Now, we talked about Mirage making a gamble on a map or on a bomb site on a map that we haven't seen them play just yet. And because they've done this, now they are putting regulation on the line at Armory Throne Room. Statistically, their best bomb site so far here on this map. They won it once on defense. They won it twice on attack. And I would even say that the one round they lost it on attack, they still put in a pretty spirited effort. So now they go to the most defender-friendly of these sites. Overtime will happen if Mirage prevails here. And that'll be fascinating to watch because right now, the defense have a slight edge. And it would be Mirage on defense twice. Which obviously
gives them
goes quite well. Not only do they not need to worry about switching sides because it would just be technically a 7th round on defense. Mm-hmm. But the defense have that statistical advantage.
Yes. So would you say that Mirage is in a good place right now to maybe keep themselves in the series?
I would.
You would say that? Oh.
I would actually. I would say that, Michael.
That is a safe assertion. We're going to find out, I guess, in the next 2 minutes, 40 seconds. So see if Altiora is going to prove us all wrong. With Throne being the site, though, this is the long con that Mirage was trying to play. And we criticized them for going to Lab instead of Throne, but now Mirage is on Throne, what I believe to be their most confident site based on what we've seen so far through this map. And yeah, I mean, I expect this to go to OT at this point. Altiora is going to have some kind of magical performance to dissuade me of that opinion. We'll see. The clear upstairs is the focus for now. The roamers are Silent, Quartz, and loading up top. Zilchi and Flynn holding onto the site. And Altiora is starting with Cash. There's a lot of long angles opened up in those holes. You can see the defense will be able to play off of that. There's no roamer in Office or Cash. It's just a shield in those long angles that Mirage are trying to play in. And actually, Quartz will fall back real early. That is very early. But considering how slow Altiora are attacking right now, I think that's probably the right call.
I was going to say, it actually looked like a bit of frustration as if he didn't think he was that close to the hatch, but obviously we can't read into it too much.
Maybe.
We'll see. I mean, that's something that you definitely talk about in post, but from the way that he played it, it wasn't necessarily a certainty. You're right, it is very early on. And Altiora have now got their ducks in a row over by maintenance. I would imagine that the next set of hard breach will go over towards barrels. was a good idea for Quartz to fall off because he finds Eska and punishes the very first player of Altiora to encounter somebody from Mirage, giving Mirage the upper hand in combat. Maintenance wall has been opened up as well. So Mirage will put a lot into this to try and hang on. This is do or die for them. It's still championship point in favor of Altiora.
Ooh, big miss there for Spirits and a huge hit for Loading. The nade goes onto the shield, but caught by an ADS. That's perfect. The second nade will not be caught, though. Shield gone. Penguin doesn't get the kill, but he will force the player into a bad position, which does merit the kill. So there you go. Penguin, well played. But look at the time. 2 gas canisters used, 1 in the pocket for Flynn. 30 seconds left. No nades on Penguin. Plenty of stuns for Altiora, but they're not likely to be useful in this situation. Mirage is playing the long angle game here, and it's not working out as Euphoria picks up a huge kill onto Silent. Flynn, though, answer back. And that angle inside of barrels is working out great. Once again, it's just Euphoria against the world. And he's going to find 1. That's Flynn. Smoke down. Needs to reload. Not many bullets in this magazine. He doesn't know where his other 2 opponents are. He expects 1 inside of barrels, but he can't be certain. He's got a plant, and on 000, he will be an easy kill. Loading will walk into the site and clean this one up. And there it is. It was a little bit scary for a second, but Loading will not disappoint. And Mirage get overtime.
I hope somebody clips that and auto-tunes your voice. That's what I hope on what was almost a botched clutch from Loading. A bit of an embarrassing miss at the start, but he manages to correct it. And there's no joy from Mirage. They know what is staring them down here is now Mirage will stay on defense, as we said, for at least this round. They will go on to attack next round. We'll see where they go. All the bomb sites have reopened. They can go right back to Throne Armory if they really want to. But no, they're going to go upstairs to that initiation room office bomb site that we talked about. They went to it in round number 8. They were successful. They got the very first pick. It was a good, strong round from Mirage. They're going to go back. Right now, with the exception of Drug Lab, or sorry, Lab. Just Lab. With the exception of just Lab, every single site that Mirage has played on, they have won on defense. They will not need to go back to Lab. They can easily go to that bunk daycare bomb site, or they can go to Throne down below, depending on what they want. So they're going to go up to initiation. And I mean, it turns out that them going to bunk for Mirage was actually the right call. It was a smart decision. They were very comfortable with the way they played it. It was nearly a flawless round. They gave up 2 impactless kills to Euphoria. It allowed him to pad his stats. He's only the 2nd player on Altiora to break double digits on this map. Theme Park has been very stifling for Altiora. Regardless of whether they're on attack or defense, they have not looked as confident in their abilities as they have on Clubhouse or on Cafe.
Yeah.
Mirage have looked a lot better, and the guns on Mirage have also been alive. Quartz in particular has been a standout on a number of rounds. He's been getting very early, high-impact kills that have been able to knock the wind out of the sails of Altiora, and right now, in how close these rounds are, that is all the difference that it's been making.
So I just want to say that last round was a really slow attack from Altiora. It's just excruciatingly slow. They tried to do a minimal, and it didn't work. I think the clear, answer to the question why here is Altiora don't seem that well practiced on this map, to be blunt. They don't seem as very comfortable here. And be that as it may, you could blame the seeming, well, not failure yet, but you can blame the presumed failure on that. But it doesn't matter. This is exactly what Mirage needs. Mirage wants a little bit of momentum. They need to be reassured of their ability and gain some confidence so that they can bring themselves back into this series. It's certainly possible if Mirage takes this map that we will see this series go all the way to the fifth map. So we'll get there when we get there, guys. But it's still been a good performance from Mirage. The best performance we've seen from them so far. And I gotta be, at least happy about that for them.
Grenade primed and ready, tossed out from Penguin. It does a bunch of damage to Zilchi, but that's about it. Bullet sprayed through the drywall in front of his eyes, but none hit the target. One hits the head, and that's it. You're done. As good as dead. That's the action that's happening near the bomb site. Now, offsite, Quartz will creep up Dragon Stairs. He needs to be wary of somebody in that position. Euphoria not looking in the right direction, and an easy kill for Quartz. Now he loses Silent. Penguin's in the thick of things. He gets gunned down by Zilchi, trying to drag as many people down with him as he can, but he cannot do that. Flynn finished off by Sonar. Zilchi realized the walls are closing in on him and he'll get droned out. But where from Altiora will they be able to go? That's an impact grenade tossed over towards control room. It's being quarterbacked by Eska. Spirit's still in this same spot. He shot the alibi decoy and he'll be pinged relentlessly. Zilchi knows this. He's lined up, looking in that direction, but he's a bit too slow on the trigger. Quartz isn't. There's Zilchi to collect one, and Quartz is there as well, and Mirage sits on map point. They've managed to close this one and fight to the very bitter end, but still one round away from Mirage winning their very first map here in this matchup.
You know, I didn't ever really think that I would say this, but I got to say those Prismas are a major factor in the outcome of these rounds. Altiora were struggling with the Prismas quite a lot, giving away the positions of the attackers, but also making those attackers second guess their gunfights. And that's really the story, isn't it? Mirage were struggling with winning gunfights in rounds past. They bring a Prisma, and on defense, it seems like they can't lose. There's also the positioning of Mirage. It's been impeccable so far. The counterplay from Altiora has been what? Walk into the exposed position to try and take the fight with the person who has the advantage over you and the crossfire on you. That's not working out great for Altiora. And that's because of the smart play from Mirage, at least in that last round. Loading was playing in the vault. He just waited there. He knew he didn't need to peek. Why would he? His teammates are going to get the kills before any attackers can even take a fight with him. So, patience. Loading waits in the vault, keeps himself there, and makes sure that the attack cannot take him out. That way, they always have to think about him. Then Quartz, just roaming around like a marauder, just taking the fight to the enemy everywhere he goes, always in the right place at the right time. And, you know, putting himself in a position right now, he's got 19 kills. He's really putting the team on his back right this second. And he's not the only one, of course, but he's doing a lot of work. It's been a really good comeback here for Mirage. I thought, and most of us thought, that this would be the final map of the series. Altiora would lock it out, and we'd be done with it. But now, Mirage sits on match point in OT, and we're looking down the barrel of another map. If we do get to it, by the way, for those wondering, as mentioned earlier by Parker, it will be Villa. So, we'll see if we get there. But, I'm happy for Mirage putting up a fight like this.
I am as well. Obviously, the two maps that were won by Altiora were extremely one-sided. 7-3 on Cafe, 7-1 on Clubhouse. Regardless of what happens here on Theme Park, Altiora has managed to keep it close, even if they lose. That cannot be said of the last time that these two teams met on Villa. I referenced this earlier in the map, but it was a 7-1 victory for Altiora when these two teams played on it just a month or two ago. So that will obviously favor Altiora, who have two maps so far to Mirage's 0. There is no map advantage in this best of 5. This is a pure 5-map shootout. You need to win. Altiora's map is Villa. This is Mirage's map. Mirage is still struggling against Altiora on their own map, which isn't the greatest sign. But there's a lot of factors in here that we need to consider. They're going to go for the jugular, though, as Mirage are slowly encroaching on the defensive setup that we see from Altiora. I don't know if Penguin has been droned out of Vault, but that grenade will completely miss. Sonar takes out Loading. Vector in hand for Penguin, trying to find a second kill for Altiora, as they've already got a bit of an advantage here. And that Black Mirror is going to continue to stay in that position. Why? Because Penguin inside of Vault cannot be pressured right now. Sonar's second kill will give an even greater advantage with Spirits there, and a flawless round is potentially on the board for Altiora. Both Quartz and Zilchi remain for Mirage. Make that just Zilchi as Quartz gets punished. Sonar, 3 kills. Unable to get the ace, but he'll be able to get pretty close, as there's a bit of disorienting going on for Zilchi. Penguin finishes off. It's a flawless round for Altiora, and we're going to need all 15 to settle this.
I really like the Echo. I mean, we haven't talked about it very much, but we did see some Echo in, I believe, Cafe. We've seen him, brought up once or twice here and there. This is the first time in a very long time that we've been able to see Echo, because for a while, he was on competitive ban because he was a little buggy. Sometimes his drones could be invincible, and that was a problem. That's been solved now with the update with Neon Dawn, and his drones are no longer invisible to boot. So when they're on that ceiling, you can see them pretty easily, but that doesn't make them less valuable information gathering tools. It just means they're less likely to survive. So the proactive use of the Echo is quite interesting. We've been seeing from Altiora. I like that. I'm a fan of that. And it worked out well in that round. It seemingly allowed Altiora to pick their fights very, very well. I also like the defensive setup there. That was a great strategy and well executed by Altiora. It was one of the more confident rounds we've seen in this map across the board for either team. So well done to Altiora. But here we are, back on throne. And this really is Mirage's site. So given that, great performance in the last round from Altiora, sure, but this should, by all rights, be Mirage taking it all the way. It's really, I mean, the round's going to have to speak for itself, but if history is anything to go on, Mirage are, you know, they got to be feeling confident.
Both of these teams have a lot, I feel, that they can be happy about regarding this map and what has essentially been a long affair at this point. This map has gone on for about an hour or so, if my numbers are correct. It's going to come down to a single round. A single round. And Mirage are going to change things up a tiny, tiny bit. They'll go to Throne, as we talked about before. This is statistically their best bomb site. I'm sorry that you have to hear us say that so much. But it's true and it bears repeating.
That is, yep, that is also true.
Mirage are going to invest up top. Altiora had some struggles with their entry, but that is huge. Not only is that quartz removed, but it's a successful entry and first blood in favor of Altiora. This could be the snowflake that becomes the boulder, the snowball rolling down the hill.
Oh no. You're absolutely right, Parker. The worst person to have just died. I mean, you could have lost Maestro or Smoke. That would be better for Mirage in this instance because of the performance that we've been seeing from Quartz reliably through this map. 19 kills and he's just been snuffed out. Now it's on Altiora to not trip over themselves, having gained that advantage. And you can see there's even more pressure on the other players of Mirage to delay for longer, to maybe get a frag back, or to just, you know, do their whatever their job is better because Quartz is gone. The maintenance wall will be the focus here for Altiora, and Penguin is likely to get it open. It looks like it. Yeah, there it is. Soft, and it'll be picked off by Spirits using the impact. So job done there. Hard breach is over. The strategy is solidified. And the execution might work out. Maestro peeks out there, but there's no gun looking at him. So his risk is not punished until just now. Down goes Zilchi. And this could be it for Mirage.
They still have a nitro cell at their disposal. It sounds like it might have just gone off, claiming almost all of Eska's life, but not as much as you'd imagine. Ash down from Split. That's Silent claiming that one before he heads right back in. Loading has come to the rescue. He's inside a barrel. Somebody from Altiora needs to be looking in that direction because it is a bit of a blind spot for them. There he goes, down to Penguin. Eska encroaching as quickly as he can. Flynn is gone. It's Silent in a 1v4, but the match breaks in favor of Altiora, and they're the best team in Canada. 3 maps, 2-0. Congratulations to Altiora as they win the Canadian Division Finals.
Really high praise there to Altiora. Persevering, especially in a situation where, I mean, the stats just favored Mirage. It seemed like that was Mirage's map. It seemed like this series was going to continue, but not so. The key to that round, well, there's 2 of them. The pick onto Quartz at the beginning, upstairs. And you know what? I can't fault Quartz. I really can't. 19 kills. He tried so hard. And he was not that guy getting picked off all the time. He wasn't the one leaving his team out to dry. He wasn't the one letting the round slip by here and there. The second key to that round was Zilchi peeking by Throne. I know the wall's open. I know you're down a man. But it's a 4v5, not like a 3v or 2v5. You don't have to get aggressive in a Throne position situation where you're exposing yourself like that. It's just not the play. It's not the time. That's what happened. And you said Snowflake. That was when we had Snowball. And it just moved from there.
And unfortunately, an avalanche starts with a single snowflake, Michael. And that's all it took. the inciting incident, the first domino, all of these different idioms that you can use to describe this in comparisons. But congratulations to Altiora. They are the very first winners of the Canada Division Finals. We got some great people on a desk, by the way, to talk about what we just witnessed. So that's it for us as casters. On behalf of Blue and Stokes in the earlier matchup, and now Kix and myself, we hope you enjoyed the match. Let's toss it over.
Fantastic casting all around. Stokes, Blue, Kix, and Park. I want to thank you guys so much for putting your heart and soul in the cast. But now, the Canada Division finally crowned as winner, the champion, and the undisputed best in that region alone. It's going to be Altiora, so congratulations to them. It's a 3-0 sweep in the best of 5. I'm going to be honest. The analysts, the professionals with the predictions, you know, this wasn't what we expected. What? I mean,
Hold up.
Whoa.
This is what one of us expected. Somebody predicted Altiora in this one.
Yeah,
I'm not sure it's the one who claims to be the new big brain in town. So let's make sure that that's on the record straight.
I come correct. Jesse, you tell them. Jesse, I'm sorry for putting disrespect on your name, but as a winner here, go ahead. Fill the way.
Thank you, Veli. I mean, this final map was definitely one that came down to the wire. You could tell that Mirage were more in it. Obviously, it was their map pick. They came out with, I mean, a lot of different strats. They really were playing their game, but in the end, I mean, that final round really was a heartbreaker. So credit to Altiora. They really did pull it out. I was really impressed with their, willingness to keep on fighting it during all of these rounds. That last one, it was a bomb site that they'd lost time and time and time again. But on Throne, they finally went out with the attack, and that's really got to feel good.
Jacob, it's time for the loser to prediction to talk now.
I don't know if I want to say anything right now. I'm just...
Look at him.
Look at him. Look at the hype, baby. So, wait up.
I don't know what to say.
Jacob, collect your thoughts, and then I want to know how you feel looking at this stat sheet. I mean, you know, shout out to Penguin, Sonar, Euphoria, Eska, also Spirits, but man, Course was fighting for his life right there.
I mean, you want to know how I feel? I feel partially responsible for this because I said Mirage was going to win.
You're not the curse anymore, Jacob. You're not the curse anymore.
What do you mean I'm not the curse? That's how I built my reputation before we even started here. I feel bad.
I feel bad too.
Mirage, I'm sorry. That is a fight I most assuredly lost.
Yeah, but let's talk about some positives. It's fine. Let's talk about some positives. So Jesse, you know, I'm looking at you for this one. Now, there was a significant difference when it came to play styles when it came to both of these teams, and one of them we saw great roam presence from them. Tell us about how you looked at Theme Park when it came to the defensive sides.
Yeah, I mean, I think this was clearly a map that we had a lot more prep put into from Mirage than we saw from Altiora. You know, those first 6 rounds, Altiora were on the defense, and they really were trying to just get as aggressive as possible. Had a lot of roams they were trying to rock with the castle a lot of the times to support those roamers. And a lot of times they were even, like, taking challenges to players outside of the map. I mean, they really didn't want to give anything up to Mirage, and they wanted to make sure that those gunfights were happening as early as possible, and it worked for them. I mean, they managed to win the half, then things swapped, and we saw Mirage really take a different approach. There was a lot more focus on that utility dump, that classic style of siege that we're used to seeing from the previous meta, and that sort of reiterates that, you know, in our new meta, utility dump isn't dead. It's not, you know, gone, but you have options now as a defensive team. You don't always have to run, you know, Wamai, Jaeger, Maestro, Goyo, like all of this stuff. You can play it in different ways, and I thought that this map was a great example of that. We saw 2 completely different playstyles on the defense, both of which did relatively well, 4-2 split each.
Yeah, now, Jacob, we heard about the strategic side of things. Now, let's talk about the individual stardom that we saw. You really liked what you saw when it came to Penguin, man. The hard breacher fragging out of control. Tell me more about him.
Well, I'd honestly consider him my MVP for this final so far. And that's not an undeserved honor. He did... Well, I guess he had a pretty good map for map 1 on Cafe, but he didn't really wake up until Clubhouse and then Theme Park. He was in the double-digit kill counter every time. He had impact frags in moments when you probably didn't expect him to show up, and it's definitely a worthwhile honor. The fact that his job was made easy and he didn't have to worry about it too much on map number 1 when it was 2 of his teammates who were doing all the fragging for him, and he could just kind of take a backseat and actually play that hard breach support role without worrying too much about getting kills, just meant that when he went to those final 2 maps, anytime he got like in the double-digit kill counter, it really was just icing on the cake. So as far as I'm concerned, Penguin, congratulations, my dude. That was a stellar performance. You're my finals MVP.
Rumor has it before it went to overtime, he killed himself to actually give Mirage a chance. But Jesse, with Altiora, when it came to their holds, you said they did it with style, they did it with class. Jacob was talking about earlier, you know, whenever they won, it was dominant. It had a little umph in it. They were winning with 3 and 4 people alive at a time. What did you like when it came to their holds?
For Altiora, I mean, I thought that their holds, again, like, they managed to keep it aggressive. They managed to keep it a little bit different each time, too. You know, some of those throne defenses, they talked about, the casters did, about how they kept on trying to bang their heads against these throne defenses and really try to make them work. I was a little bit concerned and wondering why they didn't try to play more of a classic style, play a little bit more of that anchoring down on the bomb site. They really tried to make roamers work. And to their credit, you know, those roam games really did work on the other bomb sites. But that's something where I maybe would agree with the casters that they should go somewhere else, or that they should try to play a little bit more similar to how Mirage held the Armory Throne bomb site. But overall, just the fragging power that was coming out on those roams was super impressive. The way that they supported them with mute jammers or pests or castle barricades, that's something we saw a lot of today, was castle barricades supporting roam. That's something I really enjoyed seeing.
Yeah, now we have an interview with the one and only Caliber Jacob MVP. It's gonna be Penguin. Penguin, if you're out there, man, let me know if you hear me. And I want to say congrats. How do you feel about the win?
Thank you. So yeah, I can hear you, but and I mean we're super hyped, super pumped.
Yeah. All right, so Penguin.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Feel free. I thought you stopped.
No, I was done. I was just.
All right. So I gotta ask you. I mean, you kind of like, you know, a new breed. We see it with Brede, and we saw a Honda Code in one of the majors. But now you coming in as a hard breacher, and I'm gonna be honest, you were clapping him up, man. Do you think that you can change the style of the way that this role is played?
I mean, personally, like what I've always believed is your hard breachers have to be able to frag. Like if they can't shoot back, then they're not gonna be super useful. So we have the whole team able to frag, which is good because if somebody starts to have like a bad game or a bad map or whatever, it makes up for it.
Yeah, big time. Now, you guys won. You're on top of Canada. What's next? What's the goal for this team? I mean, we saw Mirage at the top for long. What tells me, what can you tell me in the future why we can expect Altiora to continue dominating the competition out there? What have you guys changed up to be the absolute best?
I'm gonna be honest. I think we just we put in more work than anybody else. I mean, we work super hard every day, and I mean, we come to win. Like that's the goal. The next step for us is qualifying for invite. So we'll see.
All right. So the calls for invite. Be honest, you a little nervous about that?
I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I'm excited. I'm not super nervous. It's Spirits actually. We live together.
Okay.
So yeah, we're super excited, and I think we're more excited to play than we actually have like nerves. So yeah. I mean,
okay. I love it. So I usually give everyone at the end time to talk to their fans, but while you do that, I want you to also show some love to your team out there. You know, a lot of people were big Mirage fans. You know, we want to show them some love as well, but we're very happy that Altiora is just dominant in this final series to be number 1. So from me to you, congratulations, and the rest is all you, man.
Thank you. So I just like to say to the fans, thank you for supporting us. I mean, there are some diehard fans out there that we love to see, and we interact with sometimes. And I mean, we just all love playing the game. So anybody that supports esports or just siege esports, we love you. So yeah, big shout out to everyone.
All right, Penguin, you're the best. You're the GOAT. I love your gameplay, man. I wish you the best of luck in the quals, and you have a great night, all right? Eat you something good. Celebrate.
Yeah.
No problem. You take it easy.
Have a good night. Yeah,
you too, man.
That's my MVP.
That's
him right there. That's my MVP.
And you know what the thing was? You can tell that he's so excited, but he tried hard to just be calm and cool about it, right?
Yeah, no, it's true. There's definitely something that he's kind of holding back there. And to be honest, if I'm Altiora and you're riding a high off of beating Mirage in the grand finals, I would absolutely still want to go more rounds if I felt like it. I kind of think that if that man wanted to run ranked for the rest of the night, he'd win every game that he played because they looked so good tonight.
Right. So my question to the both of you now, feel free, whoever's thinking about it first, pop up. What do you think the Corsair play of the day is going to be?
Oh gosh.
Dude.
Well, we had 3 aces. in like 2 maps, so probably one of those. I don't know. If Spirits' aces were back to back, can you have both of them in one play of the day?
I was gonna say he had them in the first round and the third round on the first map. It was so quick. He had 10 kills within the span of 9 minutes.
Why can't we just put
that was how fast it
all
was.
the aces in a row is just like a highlight reel for the play today, right? All right, so production, whenever you're ready, throw it up on the screen. If it's not an ace, I'm gonna yeet this headset out the window.
There's a cafe. Hey,
there we go.
That's
This is
one.
the first ace on round number 2, and it might go into the second ace, which was literally the next round. But Spirits did a fantastic job. Yeah, here's the second ace. Great. Thank you, production. I'm really happy that we got to see both aces back to back. Spirits, a huge impact early for Altiora on map number 1.
I love my production team. Yeah, they listen. They know. Look at them, so hype. So to close out everything that has happened so far, I mean, Jesse, you first, man.
Yeah.
We've had a crazy year, from NA League, we did the Canadian division, the Canada division, excuse me. It's been so fun. Well, what are your closing thoughts?
Well, my closing thoughts are that it's been a fantastic year. Bumps in the road, obviously, with everything that's gone on in 2020, but it's been a fantastic year for Canada and the rest of the Rainbow Six Siege scene. Ahead, I mean, things are not over. Don't forget that the qualifiers are coming up. Altiora, as well as Mirage and the rest of the teams that we saw play today, will be going for those 6 invitational qualifiers, I'm sure. So while there'll be celebrations and while there'll be a lot of rejoice tonight, it's back to work tomorrow if you're Altiora. Definitely going to be looking ahead and hopefully trying to make it to the biggest tournament of the year.
Yeah, job's not done. And just a reminder off of what Jesse just said, make sure you check out the LCQ, the quals. For all of this, it's going to be streamed. It's going to be the 18th through the 20th. That's something you really don't want to miss. And Jacob, what are your last thoughts, man?
Well, to be able to work in Canada for a little bit was certainly quite the trip. This is a thing that I've only been able to touch in Canadian Challenger League, but to be able to figure out what the relegation situation looks like and watch both Altiora and Mirage tear each other apart. Well, I guess it was just Altiora tearing Mirage apart.
Yeah.
Not the other way around. But it was really nice to be able to observe it, and even if it was only from an analyst spot. It really is an honor to still be back on the desk and to get invited for something I definitely didn't think I was going to have another chance to come back for. So thank you very much to everyone involved for wanting me back for another desk, and thank you guys for putting up with me. But one thing I do want to mention is that those qualifiers, those last chance qualifiers, the main stream is where they're happening on both the 18th, 19th, and the 20th, but they start tomorrow. So keep tabs on Twitter, keep tabs on the subreddit, make sure that you know where all these teams are going to be placing, and you can also look at the Face It tournament page to keep track of the bracket when it closes. And if you have not signed up for those last chance qualifiers, your last chance to do so is tomorrow before 2 p.m. Eastern, which is when that bracket finalizes, because we're looking ahead to the 6th Invitational in Europe in February. And we also, I think, maybe have a U.S. final on the horizon, but we'll keep you updated as we know more.
I mean, dang, Jacob, great job, man. So that's pretty much it. And I just have to say this. This was a crazy day. It was an amazing day from the relegation game to the Canada Division Finals. What I want to tell you guys at home is make sure you wear a mask, wash your hands, because, hey, who knows? We could have all been eating poutine up there in Canada with Parker and Jesse and having a good time. But in the end, I had a great time with you guys. I had a great time with Jesse, Jacob. It's been a pleasure as always. I want to thank the production crew, Face It, Ubisoft, and most importantly, all of you at home. I love you all. You're all beautiful. Mwah. But we're signing off. I'm Belly. I had a great time once again, and I hope you all have a great night. We'll see you next time for the NA League.